Chapter 23. Looking at Fu Qingya's result, Zhao Liang nodded. This result can be considered not bad. Generally speaking, if the genetic potion's improvement is not more than 45%, it is considered poor. If it is between 46% and 50%, it is considered passable. If it is between 51% and 55%, it is considered good. If it is between 55% and 60%, it is considered excellent. However, there was not much joy on Fu Qingya's face. This was because he was a first-grade student. First-grade students who used genetic potions were generally guaranteed to have good results. There were even some who had excellent results. However, he was not excellent. Moreover, Shinto Hua had not come out yet. He reckoned that Shinto Hua's result would surpass his. As for passing and poor results, those were generally things that would only appear after second-grade and third-grade students used genetic potions. At this time, 21 minutes had passed. Shinto Hua also came out of the room. Brother Zhao, my optimization is complete. I can test now. Okay, begin the test. Shinto Hua confidently walked to the testing machine and began the 3 physical tests. In the end, Shinto Hua's results came out. Left fist strength 638 kilograms. Right fist strength 646 kilograms. Fist speed 12. 8/M. Reflex 0. 049. An improvement of 56%. His overall strength was evaluated as a mid-level 6th-grade warrior. Shinto Hua's results are not bad. The genetic potions evaluation is excellent. To be able to obtain an excellent evaluation, you should have good achievements in the future. Hearing Zhao Liang's evaluation, Shinto Hua was even more high-spirited. The students who came with him gathered around him enthusiastically, like stars surrounding the moon. Fu Qingya's expression became even more unsightly. It was true that he had obtained a good evaluation, but Shinto Hua had actually obtained an excellent evaluation. This immediately suppressed his limelight, making it difficult for the proud and arrogant him to accept. Okay, you all have seen the effects of the genetic potion. You are all basically third-grade warriors now. Train as fast as possible and reach the peak of third grade as soon as possible. I look forward to the appearance of your next excellent evaluation, or even the appearance of a special evaluation. Brother Zhao, is there an evaluation higher than excellent? Of course there is. There is also an all-purpose potion that can increase one's strength by more than 60%. Moreover, there is a custom-made potion that can increase one's strength by 70% after success. That is a special evaluation. Of course, I don't advocate using custom-made potions. Once it fails, the price to pay is too high. The students all nodded. Everyone knew the importance of genetic potions, and they also knew the percentage of improvement. Generally speaking, if a third-grade student were to consume a genetic potion, there was a high chance that they would fail. The better ones might even pass. If a second-grade student were to take the potion, there was a high chance that they would pass the test. If grade 1 students took the potion, there is a high chance that grade 1 students would receive a good grade, and those with better grades would receive an excellent grade. As for third-class and second-class students, it wasn't impossible for them to achieve excellent or special class. However, they would have to consume a custom-made genetic potion. Private customization was like a gamble, but the chance of winning was very small, only 20% at most. Once a martial artist failed to take the customized potion, they would lose their potential. Not only would they need to take a lot of precious medicines to recuperate, but the next time, they could only take the all-purpose potion. Moreover, the improvement in their evaluation would only be bad, not exceeding 45%. Basically, they would lose their future. Therefore, custom-made potions were a double-edged sword, and there was an 80% chance that they would hurt themselves. After Zhao Liang finished speaking, he turned around and left. As a general-level martial artist, he needed to spend more time in the wilderness rather than dealing with these student-level brats. After Zhao Liang left, the testing hall was in an uproar. Fu Qingya glared at Shinto Hua. Shinto Hua, don't think that just because the effects of your genetic potion are better than mine, you'll be above me for the rest of your life. We are both level 6 warriors. I am in the early stage, and you're only in the middle stage. I will soon enter the wilderness. As long as I kill more monsters, I will be able to earn more money. I still have a chance to improve my strength. This is just the beginning. Shintu Hua said bluntly, "Are you the only one who will enter the wilderness? I am a middle-stage level 6 warrior, and I will soon join an adventurer team and enter the wilderness. Fu Qingya, don't be delusional. I will definitely be the #1 person among the Zephyr Dojo's newcomers this year." Fu Qingya stopped bickering with Shinhua and began to shop online. After a martial artist's genetic optimization, they would choose a martial art and a weapon to prepare for entering the wilderness. In fact, many students had previously studied a certain weapon and already had a plan in mind. In terms of weapons, in addition to cold weapons, there were also some martial artists who would choose firearms. However, those who chose firearms were martial artists who weren't very talented. In a cold weapon duel, there might not be much of a way out, which was why they chose firearms. The advantage of firearms was that it was easy to learn. It was easy for martial artists with excellent physical fitness to practice, but the disadvantage was that their achievements were limited. Seeing this, Lin Jun did not continue to pay attention to what Fu Qingya and Shinhua would choose. The better the competition between the two, the more people would not pay attention to him for the time being. He could use these few days to quietly improve his strength. In fact, during this period of time, no one had the time. For the last first-class student spot, almost all the students were giving it their all. They all wanted to reach the peak of level 3 in the shortest time possible. Lin Jun's reflexes were already good enough, and his fist speed was not far from the peak of level 3. His right fist was also fast, but because his left hand lacked training, it was still far from the peak of level 3. Even if he had mastered the breathing technique, it was impossible for him to leave others too far behind. 10 days passed quickly. Lin Jun had not left the dojo for the past few days. He practiced his fist techniques during the day, and when there was no one around at night, he would practice his spiritual force. The progress of his spiritual force training was very fast. More and more of the green aura in his mind had begun to turn silver-white. The traces of silver-white aura had also increased, and it had already taken up a quarter of the total. He was already considered an early silver-white spirit reader. He could even control 3 throwing knives at once, and their power was even greater than a handgun. His left fist had also improved rapidly under his deliberate training. Today, it finally surpassed the 390 kilograms mark. When his fist landed on the target, the words 397 kilograms appeared. Not bad. 397 in my left hand and 399 in my right hand. I'm already at the peak of level 3. My fist speed has also reached 799 punches per second, which is already the limit of level 3. I'm almost ready to take the genetic medicine. The genetic medicine he ordered had already been delivered this morning. The timing was just right. At this time, everyone was desperately training. Lin Jun knew that a few second-class students were about to reach the peak of level 3, but their progress was slightly slower than his. If he took the medicine now, he would be able to obtain the last spot as a first-class student. Just as Lin Jun was thinking about whether or not to take the medicine immediately, Zhao Liang walked over and said to Lin Jun, "Lin Jun, the police called me. They said that the day of the hooligan's imprisonment is almost here, but Zhang Huai hasn't even gone once. It seems that he knows that it's useless even if he goes, so he might as well just let his lackeys lock them up and not ask for help." He actually didn't ask about it? Lin Jun had not expected this. Yes, the police can only hold them for 15 days at most. After 15 days, they will definitely be released. He would rather let his lackeys suffer than lower their heads and reconcile. Is he so sure that we won't dare to do anything to those bastards? Since he doesn't want to lower his head, then we'll break one of their legs each. Lin Jun gritted his teeth, anger rising in his heart. Then should we take the initiative to make an appointment with Zhang Huai? If we can negotiate, then compensation would be the best. Otherwise, if we break the legs of those hooligans, it'll be a source of gossip. How many more days can we keep those hooligans locked up? For more days at most. After that, they will have to be released. Okay, then 3 days later. 3 days later, I want to meet with Zhang Huai. Lin Jun made up his mind. 3 days. But Zhao Liang wanted to say something, but stopped. Lin Jun knew what he meant. It was nothing more than Lin Jun's current strength being too weak. He did not have the qualifications to negotiate with Zhang Huai. Lin Jun smiled. Brother Zhao, you don't have to worry. I've already reached the pinnacle of level 3. I can take the gene potion now. Once my genes are optimized, I won't be the rookie I am now. Chapter 24. Lin Jun nodded with a smile. Although this customization is very risky, Brother Zhao, please believe me. I feel that I can definitely pass this hurdle. Zhao Yang also nodded. If you really have such confidence, then that's a great thing. The customization can increase your physical fitness by at least 70%. If you're lucky enough, it's not impossible for it to exceed 80%. Lin Jun, if you increase your fitness by 80%, then your strength is very likely to reach the early stage of the 7th rank, or at least the late stage of the 6th rank. I think so too. All right, Brother Zhao, I'll take the last first-class student spot. If you succeed, then I can make the decision to give the last first-class student spot to you. Lin Jun, first-class students will not only enjoy a 90% discount, but also a 100% monthly salary. More importantly, the dojo's hunting squad will soon be recruiting this batch of students. At that time, the first-class students will definitely be fought over by good hunting squads. If you can join a good hunting squad, then we warriors will have a guarantee for the rest of our lives. When the time comes, we'll hunt monsters and make a lot of money. Huh, of course, that's great. Brother Zhao, I'll go optimize it. Go, do your best. Hearing that Lin Jun was going to be the first to optimize the gene, many students gathered around. If Lin Jun succeeded, then he would be the first second-class student to complete the optimization in the dojo. The first-class student spot would be his for sure. Even Shindo Hua and Fu Qingya came over. In their hearts, Lin Jun was a person who posed a threat to their position. They all wanted to see the results of Lin Jun's optimization. If Lin Jun's results were not satisfactory, then even if Lin Jun was given a first-class student spot, he would not be a threat to them. Lin Jun completely ignored the people around him and walked into a small room. There was only a wooden bed in the room and a clock on the wall. Lin Jun sat cross-legged on the bed and took out the gene potion. This bottle of potion is made from the proportions I tested in my previous life. With my current age, the composition of this bottle of potion can be said to be the most suitable. According to the testing method in the interstellar space, after consuming a custom-made genetic potion, the starting point of the increase is 90%. As for reaching 90%, that would depend on luck. I hope my luck isn't too bad. Lin Jun didn't think that his luck was bad. Even if it was bad, it was something that happened in his previous life. If his luck wasn't good, how could he be reborn in such a rare event like a black hole in the universe? Therefore, he was very confident in this bottle of potion. After swallowing it, the medicine began to take effect in his body. The change in his genes did not mean that he was no longer human. Instead, the cells in his body began to rapidly divide, recombine, and strengthen, becoming more active. Gene optimization was a very crucial step. Without gene potions, humans could only cultivate to the level of a 4th or 5th rank warrior through training. Only when the gene potion entered the body and transformed the cells in the body could the martial artist continue to advance. After the first optimization, the martial artist wouldn't be able to absorb all of the medicinal potency. There would still be some residual medicinal potency in the body. The better the effect of the first optimization, the easier it would be to advance in the future. It was the best opportunity to widen the gap between the martial artist and the other martial artists. This was why people valued the first optimization effect so much. Lin Jun had experienced a gene optimization in his previous life, but it was far from being as satisfying as this time. This process was like a person who hadn't drunk a drop of water for a long time and was about to dry up from thirst. Suddenly, he was soaking in a bathtub filled with nutrient solution. Every cell in his body was letting out a joyful cheer as strength began to spread throughout his body. What a powerful feeling. I can clearly feel my strength increasing. My body's toughness, flexibility, and toughness have all received a large increase. This is an all-round improvement. Success. He didn't know how long this process lasted. When the last of the cells were strengthened, Lin Jun slowly opened his eyes. He raised his head and looked at the clock in the room. He was momentarily stunned. 45 minutes had actually passed. One must know that the process of gene enhancement was basically completed within half an hour. If it was a special enhancement, it would only take slightly more than 30 minutes. In his previous life, his gene optimization process only took 15 minutes. This time, it actually took 3 times as long. Looks like the effect of this optimization is very good. I hope it can give me a pleasant surprise. Lin Jun stood up and walked out of the small room. Just as he walked out, he heard a commotion outside. The first to bear the brunt of the commotion was Fu Qingya. This first-class student looked at Lin Jun with disdain. Lin Jun, what the hell are you doing? Don't you know there are so many people waiting outside? Purposely dawdling inside for 45 minutes. What are you doing? I'm optimizing. TCH, what are you pretending for? Do you need 45 minutes for optimization? My optimization results are good. It took less than 20 minutes. Even if you're excellent, you shouldn't need 30 minutes. I think you're doing it on purpose. Deliberately mystifying things. Shen Dehua also had a look of disdain. Lin Jun, even if you want to pretend, there should be a limit. You're a second-class student. Even if your performance at the bar last time wasn't bad, that's because I wasn't there. A second-class student would be burning incense to thank the gods for getting a good evaluation. Don't tell me you got an excellent evaluation. Fu Qingya continued. I think he might have gotten a bad evaluation. He's too ashamed to meet people, so he's purposely dawdling in the room. Because of the fight at the bar, he was still very jealous of Lin Jun in his heart. He always wanted to attack him. Lin Jun looked at the 2 first-class students. Both of you say I'm dawdling on purpose. But if I'm not dawdling, what will the 2 of you do? TCH, how can you prove it? I naturally have my ways. If I can't prove it, I'll give each of you 5 million. If I can prove it, then do you dare to lose to me 5 million each? Fu Qingya and Shen Dehua looked at each other. They were a little uncertain. One of them was from number 1 high school, while the other was from number 2 high school. They were both aristocratic schools. The 2 of them could be considered rich, but they spent a lot of money to buy cultivation methods and weapons. Unlike Lin Jun, who received a 20 million free reward from the martial arts center, they didn't have much money on hand. However, they didn't believe that a person's genetic optimization could take 45 minutes, especially in front of so many students. If they didn't dare to agree, wouldn't it be embarrassing? I'll bet with you. Since you want to take the initiative to give me money, I, Fu Qingya, have no reason to refuse. Let's bet. Everyone here is a witness. Lin Jun, you can't go back on your words if you lose. The bet was set. Lin Jun sneered at the 2 of them. He said, you still don't know, right? I used a custom-made genetic medicine. Custom-made? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Zhao Yang didn't tell anyone that Lin Jun used a custom-made genetic medicine. If he used a custom-made genetic medicine, then it really might take more than half an hour. Because once a custom-made genetic modification was successful, the modification effect would be at least 70%. Naturally, it would take more time. 70%. If Lin Jun succeeded, wouldn't he be the number 1 student in the martial arts center? You succeeded? Shen Dehua and Fu Qingya asked at the same time. Do I look like a failure to you? Lin Jun asked in return. He walked directly in front of the fist strength testing machine. The students behind him followed him in a hubbub. Even some warriors who were passing by stopped in their tracks and paid attention to this matter. If Lin Jun succeeded, they would very likely have warriors come to recruit him into their team. After all, it was rare for a custom-made genetic modification to appear. In fact, the Zephyr Martial Arts Center's hunting teams were already paying attention to this batch of students. It was normal for there to be casualties in the wilderness. There were even times when a team was wiped out. Many teams were in a state of lacking members. After these students took the genetic medicine, their strength would improve rapidly. After training in the wilderness for a period of time, they would become experts. Some of the outstanding students had already caught the attention of these warrior teams. Chapter 25. It was very convenient for martial artists to communicate with each other. More and more martial artists came down from upstairs and came out of their rooms. They quickly gathered in the testing hall on the first floor. Lin Jun wasn't in a hurry. He also planned to make a name for himself through this. He already had a little bit of fame. This private customization event was definitely a good opportunity for him to expand his reputation. In front of the testing machine, Lin Jun first warmed up for a while and dawdled for a few minutes. This made Fu Qingya and Xinhua feel that Lin Jun was deliberately mystifying things. Lin Jun didn't argue with the two of them. Seeing that more than 100 people had gathered in the hall, he knew that it was about time. Feeling that his body was in the best condition, Lin Jun was ready to start. Zhao Yang stood beside Lin Jun and said loudly, Lin Jun's left fist strength was 397 kilograms. Now, let's test your left hand. Taking a deep breath, Lin Jun threw a punch with his left hand. Everyone only saw the afterimage of a fist. They were shocked. Lin Jun's speed was already very, very fast. Boom! The testing machine trembled slightly. This wasn't an effect that an ordinary student could produce. A large number floated on the electronic screen. 789 kg. F*CK. What kind of result is this? Is this still the result of an ordinary student? This kid can't be a left-hander, right? Isn't he a late-stage, 7th-level warrior? Lin Jun isn't a left-hander. He's a right-hander. God, how is he so strong? How much is this increase? Can someone calculate it for me? Zhao Yang also opened his mouth wide. He didn't know what to say. Lin Jun didn't care about other people's reactions. He waved his right hand and threw another punch. Boom! 794 kg. When this number appeared again, everyone was a little dumbfounded. This kid's punch was close to 800 kilograms. This was almost the peak of 7th level. Very soon, someone calculated the increase. Lin Jun's genetic optimization had increased his physique by 98%, close to 99%. In the whole of Bing City, there were rumors of people using genetic potions to increase their strength by 87%. There is no one in Bing City who could increase their strength by more than 90%. It was said that only a few people in Beijing had achieved more than 90%. However, a 99% increase was unheard of in history. Fu Qingya and Xinhua were dumbfounded. They did not know how to evaluate the scene before them. This matter was too crazy. Many martial artists immediately began to contact their own teammates, saying that they had to recruit Lin Jun, this super potential talent, into their team no matter what. A 99% increase. Such a person would probably soon break through the limit of a 7th rank warrior and become an 8th rank warrior. He might even be able to advance to the warlord rank soon. He was definitely a genius. As long as his reflexes reached the standard, he would rise 4 levels in a row from the pinnacle of level 3 to the pinnacle of level 7. He actually made the leap in one go. Lin Jun's crazy performance was still going on. In the fist speed test, Lin Jun frantically threw out punches within a second. The strength of each punch exceeded 650 kilograms, which was also at the pinnacle of level 7. As for the final reflexes, under Lin Jun's deliberate control, they still reached 0. 0.21/m. This result was even more shocking. As long as one's reflexes reached 0.01/m, one would be at the warlord rank. Lin Jun's reflexes were actually at the pinnacle of an 8th rank warrior. This alone was enough for him to not be at a disadvantage when facing an 8th rank warrior. Only Lin Jun himself knew that after taking the genetic potion, his mental strength had improved again. Now, the air mass in his mind had turned to silver, slightly more than half. He was at the intermediate silver level. His reflexes had now officially entered the warlord rank. However, he did not want to reveal this secret for the time being. It was always good to have one more trump card. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Lin Jun walked towards Fu Qingya and Xinhua. The two of you, shouldn't you fulfill your promise? 5 million each, not a cent less. Fu Qingya and Xinhua's expressions were extremely ugly. They never dreamed that this would be the result. Since when did custom-made genetic potions have such a great effect? It could actually increase their physical fitness by 99%. If they had known earlier, they would have chosen to take a gamble on the custom-made genetic potions. Chapter 26. Zephyr Martial Arts School's Super Genius, custom-made potion to increase physique by 99%. New record in China, 99% miracle. The rise of Zephyr Martial Arts School is imminent. 4 levels in a row, second-class student Lin Jun of Zephyr Martial Arts School is promoted to first class, triggering a craze of custom-made potions in the Bay City. Posts appeared on Bingqing's Warrior Forum one after another, setting off a frenzy in the entire Bay City, attracting the attention of countless people. Most of the people who posted these posts were warriors from Zephyr Martial Arts School. They were the audience who had personally witnessed Lin Jun's performance that day. This was a sensational event. Many people even asked how Lin Jun had prepared the ratio of the potion. If this method could be spread, it would be a huge blessing for the entire martial arts community. Every 99% increase would increase the overall strength of the martial arts community. However, how could Lin Jun give an answer? He only remembered his own data and could not match it with others. He could only laugh it off and say that he was just lucky. However, the netizens weren't all praising Lin Jun. There were also many people who said some strange things. For example, Ouyang Yu from the dragon-slaying martial arts school posted a post under the name Meteor Shower. A 99% increase in physique with the gene potion is amazing, but in the end, it only helps the martial arts practitioner save some time. 3 months? Half a year? Or a year? If Lin Jun increases his strength too much at one time, it will be easy for him to become arrogant. It is very likely that he will underestimate the enemy in the wilderness. Maybe this is not a good thing, and it will cost him his life. Only living martial arts practitioners are valuable. No matter how talented they are useless when they are dead. So Lin Jun, you should stay in a martial arts school obediently and be a genius. I am preparing to enter the wilderness. This post received the approval of some people who were basically students from various martial arts schools, and they were angrily criticizing Lin Jun on the internet. This Lin Jun was a second-class student, but now he was in the limelight. These students were all proud and arrogant. For a time, many posts challenging Lin Jun appeared on the internet. Lin Jun naturally did not respond to these people. When these people saw that Lin Jun did not respond, they became even more arrogant. They said that Lin Jun was just lucky to increase his strength so much, and that he would be an idiot in actual combat, and would become ordinary in the future. Of course, there was also a positive side. Students from various martial arts schools began to train hard, and strive to take the gene potion one day earlier to surpass Lin Jun. After that, there were people who took the gene potion, but no one else was successful. Martial artists all had the desire to reach the peak. So Lin Jun was not the only one who took the gene potion. However, the success rate was indeed disappointing, and no one could achieve the same super improvement as Lin Jun. On the contrary, many students with good qualifications were reduced to mediocrity because they took the risk of taking the gene potion. The day after Lin Jun's breakthrough, Chun Jingqiu from Chongfeng Martial Arts School successfully took the gene potion and increased his strength by 79%. And he became a level 7 warrior. The day after Lin Jun's breakthrough, Lei Ming from Dragon-slaying martial arts school successfully took the gene potion and increased his strength by 75%, and he became a level 7 warrior. Although these two pieces of news were not as shocking as Lin Jun's 99% improvement, they were still rare in Bingqing Bay City. This made the members of Chongfeng and Dragon-slaying martial arts school very excited. They even challenged Lai Feng and Lin Jun on the internet. Ouyang Yu, especially, had become a firm supporter of Lin Jun. In dragon-slaying martial arts school, Ouyang Yu wrote another post to slander Lin Jun. As soon as he went offline, he received a call from Zhang Huai. It's time to meet Lin Jun and the others. It was your idea to get someone to beat up Lin Jun's father in my bar. Now, you should come with me. Brother Zhang, will there be any danger? Ouyang Yu was knocked out by Lin Jun with 3 punches that day. Although he was drunk, he was still a little afraid of Lin Jun. Don't worry. When I, Zhang Huai, went out to kill monsters, Lin Jun was still a student. Even if he is in the limelight now, he won't dare to make a scene in front of me. My title of butcher is not for fun. If I can't even protect you, I don't need to stay in the martial arts circle anymore. Besides, this time, all the members of Bloodhand Squad will go and see what tricks Lai Feng can play. With Zhang Huai's assurance, Ouyang Yu immediately felt relieved. Zhang Huai's Blood Hand Squad was led by a level 4 warlord. Lei Ming had also joined the Blood Hand Squad as an advanced student. With these people present, he was not afraid of Lin Jun. The 5 members of Dragon-Slaying Martial Arts School's Blood Hand Squad and Ouyang Yu took 2 modified off-road vehicles and went straight to the meeting place with Lin Jun. In Lifeng Martial Arts School, Zhao Liang and 3 other martial artists were waiting in front of the small martial arts field. Liangzi, Lin Jun hasn't come out of the small martial arts field for 3 days. Isn't this guy too hard-working in his training? The one who spoke was the captain of Zhao Liang's Demon Hunter Squad, Shirlei. He was a level 3 warlord who was good at using a long sword and practiced Lifeng swordsmanship. He was a typical Lifeng martial artist. That's right. When it comes to training, going too far is just as bad as not going far enough. Moreover, training here can't be as fast as training outside by hunting monsters. Liangzi, you have to talk to Lin Jun later. Actual combat is the absolute truth. Flowers in a greenhouse can't grow. This person was Gao Yan, a level 1 warlord and the sniper of the squad. Generally, martial artist squads would be equipped with 1 or 2 martial artists who use firearms. Long-range sniping was also a very necessary method. However, it was basically impossible for martial artists who used firearms to become warlords. Their main purpose was to kill monsters and make money. When they made enough money, many people would choose to stop and retire. Gao Yan is right. Although Lin Jun's 99% improvement is amazing, he hasn't proven his actual combat ability yet. Killing monsters and fighting in a bar are 2 completely different concepts. Zhao Yang, since you're recommending Lin Jun, don't let us down. If he becomes a hindrance in the squad, I have no obligation to take care of children. This person was Yi Qiansheng, a level 2 warlord who used 2 swords and walked the agile path. You guys don't have to worry. I know Lin Jun very well. Both his combat awareness and willpower are very strong. If it weren't for my friendship with him, I'm afraid this seedling wouldn't have landed in our squad. Just wait. It's almost time. He'll probably come out soon. The few of them didn't say anything. They silently waited for the genius Lin Jun that Zhao Yang had mentioned to appear. Lin Jun was at a critical moment. After sealing himself in the small training ground for 3 days, Lin Jun used all his energy to practice his spear. The 9 Heavy Spear River was an ancient book. No one knew how this ancient book had appeared, but the techniques recorded in it were extremely powerful. Lin Jun had bought the first book in his previous life. The first ancient book mainly recorded the basics of spear techniques and a consummate skill. It was also because of this consummate skill that martial artists couldn't directly learn the second layer. This was because if one didn't learn the first layer, they wouldn't be able to connect with the second layer. Lin Jun had been practicing for 3 consecutive days. During these 3 days, he had basically regained the feeling of using a spear in his previous life. What he needed to do now was to remaster the first layer of spear techniques that he had learned before. Lin Jun sat cross-legged on the ground, drenched in sweat. Mist rose from his body, and the black dragon spear was placed in front of him. His eyes were closed as he recalled the essentials of the first layer of spear techniques. The 9 Heavy Spear River is said to be divided into 9 consummate skills. They are Gale, Rainstorm, Waterfall, Long River, Overturn the River, Sea Treader, Sky Splitter, Starfall, and Collapse. I learned Gale in my previous life. What I need to do now is to remaster it. I've already comprehended the profound meaning of the Gale. The only thing I'm lacking is that this body is still a little weak. Although after 3 days of hard work, my strength has already reached the peak of a 7th level warrior, but it's still a little lacking. However, this lack of a body is nothing. It is not a decisive factor. As long as I can remaster Gale, I can rely on the spear technique and my outstanding reflexes to deal with a level 9 warrior. I can even survive in front of an early-stage warlord. Lin Jun's mind was recalling the comprehensions of his previous life. Even though he was indoors, his heart was already howling like a gale. "Pa!" Lin Jun stretched out one hand and held the black dragon spear, which weighed 150 kilograms, horizontally in front of his chest. He slowly opened his eyes. "Gale, a spear technique comprehended in the wind. When facing an enemy, it is like a gale attack. It is violent and violent. When dealing with weaker enemies, it has a miraculous effect. With the long spear's indestructible sharpness, short weapons can't block it. This is the advantage of a spear. Lin Jun felt that he had once again come into contact with the true meaning of gale. He suddenly jumped up, shook the long spear in his hand, and went straight to a soft dummy 10 meters in front of him. The soft dummy was made of a new type of rubber. Moreover, it had a special composition that allowed it to automatically recover after being hit. It was the best material for practicing martial arts. Lin Jun shook the long spear in his hand, and the black dragon spear drew an arc. The seemingly ordinary spear suddenly changed. Whoosh! A gale rose out of thin air. A large mass of spear light flashed in front of his eyes, rolling and surging forward like a fireball exploding in the dark night. Before the tip of the spear touched the body of the dummy, small, shallow dents appeared on the soft body of the dummy. These were the injuries caused by the spear light. The wind rose. The feeling of his previous life came back. Chapter 27. The great spear in Lin Jun's hand spun like a black dragon. Traces of spear aura overflowed, causing dents to appear on the dummy's body from a distance. However, the gale spear technique wasn't about frequency, but about swiftness and surprise attacks. It was as irresistible as a gale. After becoming a level 7 warrior, Lin Jun's physical fitness was abnormally strong. As he rushed forward, he even left behind an afterimage. He gripped the spear's shaft tightly in his hand and shook it fiercely. Pooh! A huge spear aura suddenly rushed out of the gale and pierced through the dummy's chest. This dummy was made of a new type of soft rubber. This kind of rubber could solidify automatically and at a very fast speed. However, Lin Jun's powerful spear pierced a hole the size of a wash basin in the dummy. Moreover, it took a long time for the rubber to completely solidify. Lin Jun stood behind the dummy. The fierce momentum from before had disappeared. He held the spear in one hand and gradually calmed down. Success! I've finally mastered the hurricane spear skill once again, and I can feel that my current understanding is even deeper and more thorough than in my previous life. Because this body of mine is even younger, my mentality is completely different, unlike my previous life when I was already at the end of my life, so comprehending the hurricane spear skill is nothing to be happy about. After mastering the gale spear technique again, I almost have the strength of a peak warrior. Although I'm still no match for a warlord, with my spear technique and mental power, I can protect myself against a beginner warlord. In this life, I won't let anyone trample on me, not even God. Lin Jun completely calmed down. He looked at the time and realized that it was almost time for the appointment with Zhang Huai and the others. He quickly packed up, put the 150-kilogram black dragon spear into the mutant deerskin holster, and carried it on his back. This weight was nothing to Lin Jun, who was an early level 8 warrior. Lin Jun put 5 alloy throwing knives into the small compartment of his belt and walked out of the small training ground. As soon as he stepped out, he saw Zhao Liang and 3 men standing outside. Brother Zhao, I'm sorry for making you wait. It's all my fault. I lost track of time while cultivating. Zhao Liang waved his hand. It's nothing. We came early. Come, Lin Jun. Let me introduce you. He brought Lin Jun to the other men. This is the captain of our Demon Hunter squad, Shirley. He's a level 3 warlord and also the number 1 expert in our squad. Hello, Brother Shir. Lin Jun took the initiative to greet him. Well, I've heard Zhao Yang talk about you many times. You've also become quite famous recently. However, if a person becomes famous and can't prove their strength, then they will attract a lot of attacks. Lin Jun, you have to pay attention to this point. It's best to find an opportunity to shut those who doubt you up. Lin Jun smiled and nodded. This captain spoke very honestly. Lin Jun liked to deal with people like this. This is Gao Yin, a warrior-level sniper. When we go out to hunt monsters, many of them are shot in the head by Gao Yin. He has the highest kill rate in our squad. Hello, Brother Gao. Lin Jun greeted him again. Hello, young man. In the future, don't worry about killing monsters. I'll deal with those hidden threats for you. Gao Yin didn't say much. In the future, they would all be members of the same squad. As for Lin Jun, he still had to observe him. If he wasn't useful, he wouldn't bother with Lin Jun. This is Yi Tiansheng, a level 2 warlord. The power of his dual swords is amazing. Although his level is lower than mine, he's the second expert in our squad. Yi Tiansheng didn't look much older than Lin Jun. At this time, he glanced at Lin Jun and said, "Young man, I hate people who get in my way the most. I don't like being a nanny. If you don't get my approval within a month, then I'll definitely advise Boss Sure to kick you out. We demon hunters go out to kill monsters and make money, not to play. Don't worry, Brother Yi. If I'm a burden, then I'll quit. There's no need to trouble you guys." Although Yi Tiansheng spoke very rudely, Lin Jun knew that this kind of person was true to himself. He was a reliable teammate, so he didn't have any dissatisfaction. Okay, then the 5 members of our Demon Hunter squad are complete. You all know the purpose of today's visit, which is to help Lin Jun solve a problem. We'll meet those bastards from the dragon-slaying Bloodhand squad. Lin Jun will talk and will help. Lin Jun, when the time comes, remember one thing: don't be afraid of anything. Don't worry, Brother Zhao. I know what to do. That's good. I also asked the police to release the people who hurt your father. They're all in the car outside, and there are police officers watching. In a while, they'll be brought over to increase our bargaining chips. I'll see if that bastard Zhang Huai still wants to follow his brothers. Okay, then let's go. Shirley spoke, and the few of them got into a car. It was a large modified SUV. The brand could no longer be seen, but it was unusually sturdy and majestic. A police car followed behind their car. There were 2 policemen inside, as well as the gangsters who had hurt Lin Jun's father. The agreed location was an abandoned warehouse in the central district of the city. In the base city, where every inch of land was worth an inch of gold, there shouldn't be any unused land. However, this abandoned warehouse area was an exception. It was a battlefield prepared for warriors. There were always many grievances between warriors that needed to be settled. Some things would be settled in the wild, but there were also some small matters that warriors would agree on a place to negotiate. If they couldn't reach an agreement, then there was the possibility of a fight. Because of the destructive power of warriors, ordinary places couldn't withstand their destruction, so this abandoned warehouse area was born. The car zigzagged all the way into this no-man's land. There were broken walls and ruins everywhere, as well as some rusty containers. Some had big holes in them, and some had moss growing on them. It was said that these were products from the Christian calendar. There were even bullet holes, sword marks, and other traces of fighting everywhere on the road. There they are. Zhao Yang, who was driving, pointed. There were 2 modified off-road vehicles parked in the distance. A few people were leaning against them, waiting for Lin Jun and the others. The 2 vehicles arrived one after the other. They stepped on the brakes, and everyone got out of the vehicles. Shirley held a thick cigar in his mouth as he walked in front. The members of the Demon Hunter squad followed behind him. Finally, 2 policemen walked over with 4 hooligans. The 4 gangsters had bruises all over their faces. Under Zhao Yang's orders, the policemen who were close to Lai Feng had dealt with them. However, in Lin Jun's eyes, this level of punishment was far from enough. Everything would have to wait until the negotiations were over. Seeing the people from Lai Feng coming over, the few people from the Dragon Slayer squad stood up straight and looked at them with cold smiles on their faces. The 2 sides stopped less than 5 meters apart. Without any pleasantries, Shirley, as the captain of the Demon Hunter squad, took the lead and said, "Du Yanhu, Zhang Huai is a member of your Bloodhand squad, right?" He ordered his men to injure Lin Jun's father. Don't you know that disputes between martial artists shouldn't implicate family members? How should we settle this score? Du Yanhu was the captain of the Bloodhand squad. He was a 4th-grade warlord and the strongest person present. Du Yanhu didn't answer the question directly. Instead, he said to Zhang Huai, "Did such a thing happen?" Zhang Huai spread his hands. "Boss, this has nothing to do with me. Who knows what the demon hunters are up to? They're blaming it on me when something happens." After saying that, Zhang Huai looked at the gangsters. "It's true that you guys are my men in the Black Swan, but I didn't ask you to do such a thing." When the gangsters saw Zhang Huai, their frightened expressions disappeared. They immediately said, "No, boss. We hit that old man because the breakfast he made was too disgusting. Even the meat was smelly. We argued, but he didn't admit it. That's why we hit him a few times. Zhang Huai smiled and looked at Lin Jun. What do you think, Lin Jun? You can't blame me for this. Lin Jun didn't argue with Zhang Huai's blatant denial. Instead, he asked, "So you're saying that this matter has nothing to do with you, Zhang Huai?" "Of course." Zhang Huai glared at him. "All right then. No matter how I deal with these gangsters, it's none of your business." I wanted to talk to you guys about this. They've been locked up for half a month. It's time to let them go. I can let them go, but I, Lin Jun, am also a member of Lifefoam. If I don't give an explanation for injuring my family members, I'll be laughed at in the future. These gangsters won't be able to walk around with their legs anymore. P.S. Thank you for your recommendation votes. The book's results are not bad. Hey2 would often look at the recommendation votes when he's free. He's quite happy to see the votes from his readers on the screen. Thank you, everyone. Chapter 28. As Lin Jun spoke, he took out the black dragon spear from his back. Although the black dragon spear was a long spear, the shaft was made up of 2 sections. Lin Jun pulled the spear from 2 meters to 2 meters. I'll cripple each of their legs to avenge my father. Seeing that Lin Jun was about to make a move, Zhang Huai couldn't stand it anymore. He shouted, "Lin Jun, don't you dare." In any case, they were his brothers. If he watched Lin Jun cripple one of their legs, no one would dare to follow him in the future. Why wouldn't I dare? Lin Jun was about to make a move. Good. Lin Jun, listen up. I'll give you 2 options. 1, you let them go, and I'll give you some compensation. The other is that you continue to make a move, but you'll forever have offended me. You've heard my nickname, the Butcher. It's not because I kill a lot of monsters. Compared to killing monsters, I'd rather take care of some ignorant people in the wild. Don't blame me for not reminding you when the time comes. Hearing Zhang Huai's threat, Lin Jun said, "What kind of compensation can you give me?" "I'll give your father 500,000. I know his injuries aren't serious. The treatment only cost around 10,000. Giving him 500,000 is already a big win for you." Zhao Liang couldn't take it anymore. He said angrily, "Zhang Huai, are you trying to dismiss a beggar? Our entire Demon Hunter squad came out just for your 500,000? That's not even enough for a meal. If you really want to compensate, then show some sincerity. Don't say that this has nothing to do with you. No one here is stupid. Then how much do you want?" Zhang Huai asked. They all looked at Lin Jun. After all, the final price still depended on Lin Jun. Lin Jun rubbed the spear shaft. "In my heart, even if these people died, it wouldn't be enough to forgive their sins. But since everyone is here today, I'll give you face. Take out 20 million and you can take them away. Otherwise, each of them will have a leg." "Bah, in your dreams." Zhang Huai spat. "Do you think my money grows on trees? You actually want 20 million? Let me tell you, I'll give you 1 million at most. Not a single cent more. Either you let them go, or you'll offend me. Lin Jun, it's up to you." As he spoke, Zhang Huai raised his hand and pulled out a 3-meter-long machete. There were faint traces of blood on it. Zhang Huai was proficient in using the saber. He walked the path of strength and fierceness. He dared to attack and charge forward. He was very brave in battle, and that was how he earned the title of the Butcher. The average martial artist would not be willing to offend him. He also did not believe that a mere student like Lin Jun, who had just entered the martial arts circle, would have the courage to offend him. Most likely, Lin Jun was bluffing. As long as he paid, it would mean that he had lost to Lin Jun. Zhang Huai couldn't afford to lose face. Lin Jun looked around at the members of the Demon Hunter squad. Everyone nodded at him. Shirley even said, "Lin Jun, you're a member of our squad. Your business is our business. You make all the decisions." Then, Lin Jun, "Thank you all for your support." After saying that, Lin Jun suddenly attacked at lightning speed. The black dragon spear stabbed 4 times in a row, each one accurately piercing the thighs of the 4 hooligans. "Poo-pee-you-pee-you-pee-you." The 4 hooligans screamed. A bloody hole appeared in each of their crotches. Looking at the pile of blurry things that had been pierced by the spear, the martial artists felt a chill in their hearts. Lin Jun's attack was too ruthless. He actually crippled the 4 hooligans. These 4 would never have the chance to do the things they love to do in this lifetime. I'm really sorry. I originally planned to cripple one of your legs, but my spear arts are still new to me. I might have missed a little and crippled their 3rd leg. Hee hee. I didn't go back on my words. In any case, it's still a leg. The faces of the Blood Hand members were ugly. Although they didn't care if the 4 hooligans died, this was done in front of them. They had completely shed all pretense of cordiality. One of the hooligans covered his crotch with both hands and fell down. Before he fainted, he shouted at Ouyang Yu, "Brother Yu, we're helping you." Ouyang Yu's eyes were bloodshot. He had long since found Lin Jun an eyesore. Now that he was called out in front of everyone, if he didn't say anything, he was afraid that no one would look up to him. He even forgot that he hadn't taken the genetic potion yet. There was already a huge gap between him and Lin Jun. He angrily pulled out a short knife from his waist and pounced at Lin Jun. "Careful!" Zhang Huai shouted from behind, but it was too late. Lin Jun shook the black dragon spear in his hand. The spear moved according to his body. The spear shaft carried wind and thunder as it fiercely whipped towards Ouyang Yu's head. Lin Jun had long wanted to deal with this guy who had caused him so much suffering in his previous life. Seeing the spear shaft whipping towards him, Ouyang Yu remembered the gap between himself and Lin Jun. However, it was already too late for him to retreat. In a hurry, he could only use his arm to block Lin Jun's spear. Clang! Kacha! Lin Jun didn't use his full strength. With one strike, he sent the short knife in Ouyang Yu's hand flying. At the same time, he broke his opponent's arm. Ouyang Yu screamed. His arm was bent at a 90-degree angle. He howled and fell to the ground. The pain caused him to roll over and over. After Lin Jun knocked down Ouyang Yu with one blow, 2 more people on the other side moved. One was Zhang Huai, and the other was Lei Ming. However, Zhang Huai was obviously much faster than Lei Ming. He pounced on Lin Jun with his knife and shouted, "Little bastard, I'll chop you into pieces." Lei Ming slowed down. Although he had Ouyang Yu with him, he was now a member of the Blood Hand squad. Naturally, he had to yield to the veterans. In addition, he was a little uncertain. The current Lin Jun was probably not easy to deal with. Seeing Zhang Huai make a move, Zhao Liang and the others also wanted to make a move. Although it was not wise to fight with the Blood Hand squad here, they couldn't just watch Lin Jun suffer. After all, Zhang Huai was a warlord, and Lin Jun was only an early-stage 8th-rank warrior. Seeing Shirlei and Zhao Liang draw their swords, the Blood Hand squad members also took out their weapons. The snipers on both sides set up their sniper rifles. The rest of the people also entered combat mode. Once the fight started, someone would fall in a short time. However, Lin Jun shouted, "Brother Zhao, don't move. I want to fight one-on-one with Zhang Huai." If the 2 sides fought today, Lin Jun believed that the Demon Hunter squad wouldn't have an advantage. After all, the other side had a 4th-rank warlord. The result would definitely not be pleasant. Hearing Lin Jun's words, Zhang Huai, who was about to make a move, froze for a moment. Then he laughed. "This is really King ridiculous. A mere 7th-rank warrior actually wants to fight one-on-one with me, a warlord. Come on, little bastard Lin Jun. I'll teach you how to behave today. Everyone, don't make a move." Zhao Yang was a little worried. "Lin Jun, don't try to show off." "Brother Zhao, can you trust me this time?" Lin Jun looked at the Demon Hunter squad members. Several people looked at each other and nodded. A one-on-one fight meant a warrior's honor. If they forcibly stopped it, this warrior might not be able to raise his head in the future. The people on Blood Hand side also stopped. They obviously thought that Zhang Huai would win. Lin Jun held the black dragon spear and stood in front of Zhang Huai. "Zhang Huai, I'm a person who likes to end a battle quickly. Moreover, you're a warlord. Do you dare to agree to a small request?" Zhang Huai didn't immediately agree. Instead, he asked cautiously, "What request?" "1 minute. I'll only fight you for 1 minute. If I lose in 1 minute, I'll give you 20 million unconditionally and cripple one of my arms as compensation for Ouyang Yu. If you lose, you'll have to give me 20 million. Do you dare?" Zhang Huai rolled his eyes. "What if we can't decide the winner in 1 minute? Then we'll fight for 1 more minute." "Okay, Zhang Huai laughed. Lin Jun, oh Lin Jun, you're really stupid. You actually want to bet with me. 1 minute is enough for me to cut you into 8 pieces. Everyone, listen carefully. This is Lin Jun's request. You demon hunters are not allowed to interfere. You bloodhands people are not allowed to interfere either. 1 minute. I'll beat you to death without complaint. Lin Jun was also resolute and decisive. Okay, it's settled then. Lei Ming, record it for me and broadcast it online now. I want all the warriors in Bingcheng to see the consequences of offending me. The butcher Zhang Huai. Zhang Huai was very proud. In his opinion, Lin Jun, a level 7 warrior, was no match for him. 1 minute was enough to deal with him. Chapter 29. Although Zhao Liang and the others were worried, Lin Jun had already made up his mind, and they could not say anything. They took out their phones and started a live broadcast. Yi Tianqing even gave Lin Jun a thumbs up. Lin Jun, you got guts. As long as you don't lose too badly in this bet, you'll be my bro in the future. Breaking an arm is nothing. With the current medical standards, it can be treated. As for the 20 million, it's nothing. I'll help you raise the money. Shirley also nodded. That's what I think too. Gallian also said, you have the same temperament as me. A martial artist should have this kind of aura. Lin Jun smiled at his teammates. Obviously, his actions had gained their approval. Perhaps to them, he had no chance of winning. However, Lin Jun knew in his heart that if the fight went on for a long time, he would lose without a doubt. However, if it was only 1 minute, he might still have a chance. In fact, Zhang Huai was Lin Jun's enemy in his previous life. In his mind, he had already simulated the battle with Zhang Huai countless times. He was very clear about Zhang Huai's current strength, and he already had a plan. Lin Jun took off his jacket and threw it out. He wore a tight black singlet, revealing his steel-like muscles. He held the black dragon spear in his hand and was ready for battle. Zhang Huai also threw off his shirt, revealing a patch of black hair on his chest. Together with his fierce-looking face, he looked very scary. The live broadcast had also started, and several posts appeared at the same time. Live phone versus Tu Long, Lin Jun versus Zhang Huai. Demon Hunter Team's level 7 warrior Lin Jun arrogantly challenges the warlord Zhang Huai. 1 minute battle, no regrets. Courage, confidence. Bingcheng City's young leader is about to be born. 1 minute battle. A few people who were recording the live broadcast quickly stated the rules of the 1 minute battle. This made it impossible for both sides to deny it. As soon as the videos went online, they attracted the attention of countless martial artists within a few seconds. Subtitles flooded the screen, and there were all kinds of comments. However, most people still thought that Lin Jun was arrogant and conceited. Although there were precedents of a level 7 warrior challenging a level 1 warlord, the results were mostly the same. The level 7 warrior was basically completely defeated. Even if some people were lucky enough to win, they were very rare, and all of them were famous geniuses in history. Although Lin Jun's custom-made potions had amazing effects, he had not yet proven his strength, so no one thought that he'd win. After all, increasing one's physique was completely different from actual combat. Lin Jun didn't have time to look at the internet. All his attention was on Zhang Huai. Zhang Huai's strongest attack is his blade technique. I know that he cultivates the bloody battle blade technique. This blade technique was created by a dragon slayer expert a long time ago when he was at the war god level. It's not a perfect blade technique, but it excels in its ferocity and power. Zhang Huai is now an early-stage warlord, and his temperament is more intense. Now that he's betting with me, he definitely won't delay. He wants to defeat me in the shortest time possible, so I'm sure that he will use the bloody saber technique to attack me. I need to use the advantage of a long weapon to defend myself in the early stages. As long as I can hold on for half a minute, I'll succeed. It's unrealistic to hold on for longer than that. After all, a warlord can use hidden force. After making up his mind, the battle between the two of them began. Sure enough, as Lin Jun had expected, Zhang Huai glanced at Lin Jun with a sinister smile and charged forward. Little brat, I'll let you know the difference between a warrior and a warlord. Don't be so arrogant in your next life. The machete in his hand was also a product of the Ministry of Science and Technology. In terms of value, it was on the same level as Lin Jun's Black Dragon Spear. With a swing of the long machete, the blade cut through the air and made an ear-piercing whistle. Lin Jun shook the Black Dragon Spear in his hand. He used the technique of the push to neutralize and attack Zhang Huai. An ear-piercing sound of metal colliding was heard. Lin Jun took 2 steps back, and his palms felt slightly numb. A peak level 9 warrior could exert a force of nearly 500 kilograms at most. Anyone who could exert a force of more than 500 kilograms was considered a warlord. Zhang Huai was a level 1 warlord. Although he hadn't been a warlord for long, his strength had exceeded 500 kilograms because warlords had internal strength. Lin Jun's 400 kilograms of strength clashed with the other party. Relying on the advantage of a long weapon, he could only barely resist. Zhang Huai laughed heartily after his successful attack. The long machete in his hand glowed with a cold light as he launched a crazy attack on Lin Jun. Lin Jun is in danger. Shirley and the others were a little nervous. Lin Jun's first attack was just a test. After feeling Zhang Huai's strength, he felt more confident. Although Zhang Huai was strong, it wasn't impossible to resist. Lin Jun took a deep breath and poured all his strength into his arm. The long spear in his hand danced like a windmill. He lowered his waist and sat in a horse stance, not retreating even half a step. Clang, 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 clang. A string of sparks flew in all directions. The scene was like forging iron. Zhang Huai's machete was strong and fierce, but not agile enough. For a moment, he couldn't break through Lin Jun's defense. Stinking brat, you're drinking poison to quench your thirst. You're relying on your last breath to resist. Let's see how you'll resist when your last breath leaks out. Zhang Huai was also ruthless. The machete in his hand was fiercer than the previous one. Although this consumed a lot of his strength, he believed that he would be able to last longer than Lin Jun. He didn't want to drag this 1-minute battle to the end. That would be an insult to his reputation as a warlord. Suddenly, the surrounding energy overflowed. Lin Jun's long spear stirred up dust, and Zhang Huai's long machete whistled. The two of them were competing to see who would give up first. This fiery fighting scene immediately caused a big wave on the internet. This Lin Jun is not bad. He's actually resisting a warlord head-on. It's temporary. Can't you see that he's not even panting? When this energy passes, I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on. Yes. After all, he's just a warrior. It's too much for him to challenge a warlord. However, I think Zhang Huai's fierce attacks will consume a lot of his strength. I'm afraid he won't be able to hold on for long. It's enough to hold on until Lin Jun is killed. I bet that Zhang Huai will hack Lin Jun to death within a minute. I'll post this as proof. If he can't do it, I'll livestream myself eating sh*t. I'm waiting for the person above to eat sh*t. Soon, more than 20 seconds had passed. Lin Jun finally couldn't hold his breath anymore. Hold on for another 5 seconds. Lin Jun's face was flushed. He held on for another 5 seconds with his strong willpower. Finally, he took a deep breath. As he breathed, the defense of his long spear slowed down. Kid, you can't hold on anymore. Die. Zhang Huai laughed loudly. He was very tired after half a minute of frenzied attacks. After all, Lin Jun had the advantage in defense, and he also had the advantage with a long weapon. However, Zhang Huai was confident that he could still hold on for a while. Killing Lin Jun was right in front of him. Zhang Huai's long saber slashed diagonally with a flash of light. Lin Jun, be careful. Zhao Yang and the others shouted anxiously. In their opinion, Lin Jun might not be able to block this slash. Lin Jun might not be able to block it, but he still had a trump card. That was his outstanding nerve reaction. Lin Jun was a telekinesis master. His nerve reaction was strong. After taking the genetic potion, his mental strength had advanced to the intermediate silver level. Although he had just reached the intermediate silver level, his nerve reaction had actually surpassed that of an ordinary beginner warlord. At the very least, it was better than Zhang Huai's. Therefore, Lin Jun didn't think it would be difficult to dodge this slash. The moment the blade was about to reach his body, he tilted his body slightly, and the blade brushed past him by a hair's breadth. F***ck. It's a coincidence. Zhang Huai couldn't believe it. The slash that he had been so sure of had missed, and his hand movements slowed down slightly. Lin Jun wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. Although he was a little exhausted, he still kicked Zhang Huai's calf. However, Lin Jun seemed to be out of strength. This kick didn't cause much damage. It only made Zhang Huai's leg hurt, and he took a few steps back. This angered him even more. At the same time, it consumed another 5 to 6 seconds. Kid, lie down. Bloody battle, 7 consecutive slashes. Zhang Huai used the bloody battle saber technique regardless of the fact that he was already an arrow at the end of its flight. The long saber attacked from various angles. Lin Jun's mind was clear. His body moved left and right. The flash of the other party's saber was like a bullet that tested one's nerve reaction. In Lin Jun's eyes, it wasn't impossible to dodge. Moreover, Zhang Huai's saber hadn't reached the speed of a bullet. Swish, 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 swish. Lin Jun's body kept dodging and twisting. Occasionally, he would twist to an exaggerated angle. He actually managed to dodge the 7 consecutive slashes. The most dangerous slash was even close to Lin Jun's neck. It cut off a strand of Lin Jun's hair, but he wasn't injured. After the 7 slashes, Zhang Huai couldn't hold on anymore. He had to withdraw his saber and take a few steps back to catch his breath. Looking at the strand of hair falling from the air, Lin Jun's mouth revealed a smile. Chapter 30. The internet was already in an uproar. Many people couldn't believe that Lin Jun had lasted until now, especially that dodge just now. This kid's reflexes were outstanding. But even more people believed that Zhang Huai would definitely be able to kill Lin Jun in the last 10 seconds. After all, the gap between their realms was there. At that moment, Lin Jun made an unexpected reaction. Lin Jun's legs went soft, as if he was about to fall from exhaustion. Zhang Huai hadn't recovered yet. He wanted to wait until he recovered a bit to give Lin Jun a fierce blow, but seeing such an opportunity, his battle instincts made him attack instantly. Triple chain strike. 3 blades came down fiercely. This was the last of Zhang Huai's strength. He wanted to finish off Lin Jun in one fell swoop. Clang! Clang! Lin Jun once again raised his spear to block the 2 slashes. The powerful impact forced him to continuously retreat, but when the 3rd slash came down, he suddenly borrowed the force of the other party's impact to take a step back, causing Zhang Huai's final slash to miss. Zhang Huai's blade missed, and his body staggered forward 2 steps. There were only 3 seconds left. As Lin Jun retreated, the tail of his spear pushed against the ground. The spear's toughness came into play at that moment. Like a pole vault, Lin Jun's body bounced back. Using this force, Lin Jun roared, and the spear in his hand suddenly exploded. A gust of wind appeared out of nowhere, blowing fiercely and pulling Zhang Huai's hair into a straight line. 9 Spear River's first style gale. The time to counterattack had come. Zhang Huai only saw a flash of light in front of him. In the light, a black spear drilled out like a poisonous dragon and went straight for his throat. What sharp spear techniques, what meticulous thinking. This spear can't be dodged. He never dreamed that Lin Jun would be able to do this. At that moment, he realized that he had fallen into a trap. Lin Jun had already calculated everything. His final state of exhaustion was also an act. He was using his impatient mentality to lure him into the trap. If it wasn't for the 1-minute agreement, Zhang Huai believed that he could have killed Lin Jun. However, his saber technique leaned towards ferocity, and that kid first used the advantage of a long weapon to resist, then used his outstanding reflexes to dodge, quickly exhausting himself. The counterattack at the last moment was even more flawless. It happened to be the moment when his old strength was exhausted and his new strength had yet to be replenished. The counterattack at this time was indeed difficult to block, not to mention that this move seemed to be very powerful. In the face of Lin Jun's long-planned spear strike, Zhang Huai still displayed his abilities as a general-level martial artist. Relying on his Dantian's internal strength, He held the saber in his hand horizontally and poured all the remaining strength in his body into it. He pushed the saber with both hands, hoping to push the spear away. Creak! The ear-piercing sound of metal colliding rang out, causing everyone present to frown. A string of sparks flew from the body of the spear to the end. In the end, Lin Jin's strength was still inferior to Zhang Huai's, and his opponent managed to avoid the vital point of his throat. However, although the long spear did not pierce Zhang Huai's throat, it pierced his shoulder, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The long spear penetrated Zhang Huai's body and almost pierced his shoulder. Zhang Huai was injured. 3 seconds before the end of the battle, Lin Jun actually counterattacked and stabbed Zhang Huai with his spear. However, the battle was not over yet. At that moment, everyone saw how dangerous Lin Jun was. The two of them were too close to each other. Lin Jun's weapon was a long spear, which was basically useless in close combat. As long as Zhang Huai pulled out his saber and counterattacked, Lin Jun would not be able to dodge at such a close distance. The internet was silent. Things had changed too quickly, and no one had time to type or leave a voice message. Zhang Huai also realized this. Although he had been shot, it was not a fatal shot, and the time was not up yet. He still had a chance. As long as he pulled back his saber, he would be able to end Lin Jun in one blow. Since he wanted to do it, he did it. He fiercely pulled back his saber. There was a saying that went, "Habitual thinking kills." He had been learning weapons for a long time, but he had forgotten that a martial artist's fist was also a weapon. Lin Jun was much more decisive. When the two of them got close, Lin Jun immediately abandoned the black dragon spear in his hand and suddenly punched Zhang Huai in the face. The two of them were so close that Zhang Huai had no way to dodge with both hands on his saber. Lin Jun's fist landed on his face. Ugh! His head tilted back. The moment he looked up, he saw blood from his nose flying into the sky. Before he could react, Lin Jun's second attack came. But this time, Lin Jun did not use his fist. Instead, he swung his arm and gave Zhang Huai a heavy slap across the face. This slap will teach you to never lay your hands on ordinary people. Smack! With 400 pounds of force, the slap caused Zhang Huai's ears to ring, his head to spin, and half of his face to swell. As soon as his right hand landed, his left came again. This slap will teach you to be prepared to be beaten like a dog when you look down on others. Smack! Both sides of his face swelled up. Zhang Huai wanted to roar and fight back, but his abdomen was immediately punched again, forcing his roar back into his stomach. Clang! Lin Jun's fist landed on Zhang Huai's mouth, and 2 of his front teeth fell out. He knew that Zhang Huai would recover soon, so he had to seize every moment. This punch will teach you to be careful of your own teeth if you spit shit out of your mouth. Zhang Huai was about to go crazy. Crack! An uppercut shut Zhang Huai's mouth. What the F*** are you talking about? Even a dog's bark sounds better than yours. Snot, tears, and blood flowed out together. Zhang Huai was about to go crazy with anger. He desperately pulled out his saber, wanting to fight back. He was a champion-level martial artist with hidden strength. Lin Jun's punches wouldn't be able to kill him. He just needed to be given a chance. Lin Jun obviously knew this as well, and knew that he couldn't continue. He grabbed the black dragon spear's shaft and pulled it back, then turned around and thrust it at Zhang Huai. In the end, Zhang Huai was still tough enough. Although he had been hit repeatedly, he still maintained a bit of clarity. He hated Lin Jun to the core. He shook his shoulders slightly and held his saber horizontally, preparing to take Lin Jun's spear head-on, then kill him with a single slash. Lin Jun knew what Zhang Huai was thinking, but he still chose to attack. He had already calculated everything. Clang! The person who blocked Lin Jun's spear was Du Yinhu. Why did you intervene? Lin Jun said angrily. Captain, why did you stop me from killing Lin Jun? Du Yinhu glared at Zhang Huai with a cold expression. Do you want to embarrass yourself? This is a live broadcast on the internet. Countless people are watching. It's time. Time. What time? F***. I can't accept this. Zhang Huai's hand holding his saber was trembling. He had recovered a little, but he had suffered a lot. Although he still had the strength to fight, he had forgotten that he was now betting with Lin Jun. There was a time limit of 1 minute. Even if you can't accept it, you have to endure it. Zhang Huai, remember this. It's not a big deal for you to lose face alone, but you're still a member of our Bloodhand squad. As long as there is life, there is hope. If you want to take revenge, there will be plenty of opportunities. We can't afford to lose face with you. After that, Dianu didn't care about Zhang Huai anymore. He turned to Lin Jun. Lin Jun, I have to admit that you are amazing. As a level 7 warrior, there are too few who can do what you did. We will abide by the agreement and transfer 20 million to you now, but you have to remember one thing. From now on, you and the Bloodhand squad are enemies. From the moment I made my move, I was very clear about this. Facing Du Yanhu, a level 4 warlord, Lin Jun was not afraid at all. In fact, Lin Jun was also an arrow at the end of its flight at the moment. If he didn't expose his psychic power, he would definitely not be Zhang Huai's opponent. If he used his psychic power, he might be able to kill Zhang Huai, but it was only a possibility. Besides, he didn't want to expose himself. It was enough that he had reached this point. He still had time to play with Zhang Huai. Du Yanhu took Zhang Huai's phone and asked directly, "What's the password?" 594250. Zhang Huai reluctantly said number. Du Yanhu was speechless for a moment. It's 250. F*CK. Look at your password. I think you're really an idiot. It's F*King live-streamed. It's really embarrassing to be teammates with you. Lin Jun, tell me your account number. I'll transfer the money now. Lin Jun told him his account number. Soon, 20 million in cash was transferred to his account. He now had 30 million in his card. This 20 million was definitely not a small number for a junior warlord like Zhang Huai. It was already more than half of his savings. Losing it to Lin Jun like this made Zhang Huai's eyes turn red. Let's go, Demon Hunter Squad. We will meet again. Goodbye. After saying this, Du Yanhu left with his team and the injured Ouyang Yu. As for the few hooligans, he didn't even look at them. It wasn't until the other party disappeared that Lin Jun's body trembled. This battle had consumed a lot of his physical strength and energy. However, he still looked at Zhao Liang and the others with a smile on his face. I won. I seem to have broken through to level 8. Yeah, we won. Zhao Liang cheered. All the members of the Demon Hunter squad gathered around and smiled kindly at Lin Jun. They patted his shoulders, rubbed his hair, and hammered his chest. They congratulated Lin Jun in the way men should. Chapter 31. If Lin Jun's fight with the Dragon Slayer gang in the bar had made him famous, and the 99% increase in the genetic potion was shocking, then today's 1-minute gambling fight with Zhang Huai had made him famous and made people realize what kind of strength Lin Jun had. A 7th-level warrior challenging a warlord was almost certain to lose, but he had won. The spear pierced Zhang Huai's shoulder. Zhang Huai's nose was broken, and his face was covered in blood. However, he was not injured at all. No one thought that Lin Jun had lost. The internet was quiet for 3 seconds, and then it exploded. Oh my god, what did I just see? Lin Jun's strength is too abnormal. He can actually defeat Zhang Huai. Are all the students now so strong? How come I've never seen Lin Jun's marksmanship before? I can almost feel the wind blowing through the screen. That shot was almost impossible to dodge. If Zhang Huai hadn't been stronger, Lin Jun would have made him kneel. Compared to marksmanship, I admire Lin Jun's dodging more. Zhang Huai's continuous fierce attacks didn't even touch Lin Jun's hair. How awesome is his nerve reaction? It's not that he didn't touch a hair. Lin Jun lost a strand of hair, but unfortunately, it was useless. Losing a few hairs didn't make him lose any combat power. The captain of the Bloodhands is really disgusting. He actually intercepted Lin Jun's last shot. Otherwise, Zhang Huai would have been defeated. Is the Demon Hunter team still recruiting? I want to be a teammate with Lin Jun. Am I the only one who thinks that Lin Jun's last slap to Zhang Huai's mouth was quite fast and quite handsome? Lin Jun is GG. I'm a reporter at the news bureau of the Bay City. I'm 17 years old, and my measurements are XXXX. Please push me down. I want to have your babies. However, most of the people who praised Lin Jun were martial arts school students. These people hadn't gone out hunting yet and had a lot of time to surf the internet. On the other hand, the warriors who often went out didn't think much of Lin Jun. There were also some rebuttals, but they were quickly drowned out by the praises. Yi Tianqing waved his mobile phone in front of Lin Jun. Boy, you're really good. Now that you've become famous, our Demon Hunter team has also become popular. I posted a post, and now my account has more than 10,000 followers. Shirley was happy. Let's go out and celebrate. We'll have a good time. We'll eat and drink and celebrate. Lin Jun is super potential in our team. However, I don't care about the cost. Lin has won $130 million in 2 bets. We're going to be rich. Lin Jun had defeated Zhang Huai in a head-on battle. The depression from his previous life had eased a lot, and he was full of anticipation for the future. He was in a good mood and smiled. Then I'll be rich this time. Let's drink until we're drunk. The few members of the Demon Hunter team clamored as they boarded the car. They were no longer as serious and reserved as they were at the beginning. Clearly, they had all recognized Lin Jun and were showing some of their true colors. The 2 policemen also drove away. As for the hooligans that Lin Jun had crippled, no one looked at them again. Without the protection of Zhang Huai and the others, no one would come looking for trouble with Lin Jun, even if those hooligans were dead. After the big meal, Lin Jun had spent more than 500,000 million. During the meal, Lin Jun also enjoyed the treatment of a celebrity. Many students took the initiative to approach Lin Jun for autographs and photos. Yi Tianqing rolled his eyes. They drank from morning to night. Lin Jun drank until he was a little dizzy. At night, he took a taxi back to the Jiangbei villa and slept through the night. The next morning, Lin Jun woke up and had breakfast with his parents. His parents didn't know about Lin Jun's fight because they weren't warriors. They couldn't log into the warrior forum and see the posts there. Lin Jun received a call from Zhao Liang early in the morning. He told Lin Jun that he could rest at home for the day and meet at the dojo at 7 o'clock the next morning. The Demon Hunter team was going out to the wilderness. Lin Jun agreed. A warrior's destiny was to constantly fight. Compared to monsters, warriors were at a disadvantage. Although the base city was guarded by the military, the situation was still very grim. The government encouraged warriors to go out and hunt monsters. Warriors also needed a lot of money, better equipment, better weapons, and a better life. Hunting monsters was the fastest way to make money. The meat of monsters could be eaten and was very nutritious. Their skin could be made into bulletproof vests, their bones could be used as medicine, and their teeth and horns could be made into weapons. Some monsters even had crystals in their bodies, which were necessary for making gene potions and other things. They were very expensive. Whether it was the military, dojos, or the base city, they would all collect monster carcasses. Every carcass had a price. As a warrior, they would usually go out to hunt once, come back to make money, rest for a while, and then go out again. The cycle would repeat. In the entire Bingchang Bay City, there were about 1,000 warrior teams that went out. The Demon Hunters were not outstanding among the many teams. They were even relatively weak because the members in the team were relatively weak. Although the Lai Feng Dojo was the top dojo, it didn't mean that every team was strong. Every dojo had an elite team, and the members were also very strong. Demon Hunters were considered inferior. For example, the Dragon Slain Bloodhand team was not an elite team, but their overall strength was slightly stronger than the Demon Hunters. After Lin Jun ended the call with Zhao Yang, he received a call from Meng Dong. Lin Jun, I took the custom-made gene potion successfully. Really? Congratulations. How's the effect? Lin Jun was not surprised. Meng Dong had chosen the custom-made gene potion in his previous life. That was why he was able to make a name for himself as a third-class student. Of course, it's not as good as you, but still okay. It increased my overall strength by 76%. The dojo has already signed a second-class student contract with me. Haha, I'm now a 7th-class advanced student. Great. This is worth celebrating. Where are you? I was thinking the same thing. I saw a newly opened restaurant called Flying Bird Wine downstairs today. It's mainly about flying mutant beasts. Let's go take a look. Okay, I'll be there in a bit. Lin Jun hung up the phone. He planned to give himself a day off and go out for a walk. In the dojo, students who had taken the gene potion did not need to train in the dojo every day. This was because these students would choose to join a warrior team. The wilderness was the best training ground. However, he did not go out immediately. Instead, he bought some things online. First, he bought protective gear. He bought a mutant deerskin shirt, trousers, and leather boots. In the wilderness, there were many things that could pose a threat to warriors. They were not necessarily large mutant beasts, such as porcupines, snakes, rats, and so on. These things either had long-range attack capabilities or carried viruses. Some necessary protective gear was very important. After spending more than $1 million on a set of protective gear, Lin Jun ordered 2 cars. A bulletproof Raptor off-road vehicle that cost more than $5 million and a bulletproof sedan car that cost $4 million. He drove the off-road vehicle himself, leaving the sedan car for his parents. It was very convenient to order a car now, especially for warriors. There were not many procedures. You just had to pay, and the other party would fill up the car and send it to you within half an hour. In addition to these things, Lin Jun also spent some money to buy many small things. These were all for when he went out hunting. Lin Jun had far more knowledge than others. With this, he could do many things that others could not. After a while, the car arrived, along with a large bag of things he bought. Lin Lie and his wife were grinning from ear to ear. They did not expect that not only would they be able to live in a villa, but also have such a good car. Their son was really promising. In the blink of an eye, 30 million was reduced to 20 million. Lin Jun did not plan to spend any more money. He began to save money now because he knew that an epic-making product would be released soon. The Ministry of Science and Technology had collected meteorites from meteor showers and studied them for many years. They had finally figured out the composition of a meteorite. This meteorite was called the Void Stone. After being refined by a Star Realm expert, it could be made into a ring that could store items. It was called the Spatial Ring. The Ministry of Science and Technology had studied meteorites for many years and gradually discovered some of their secrets. They had also developed high-tech products like the Spatial Ring. However, they still did not truly understand meteorites. Only people like Lin Jun, who had come back from the future, knew how much wealth these meteorites contained and how helpful they were to the cultivation of warriors. For example, the Spatial Ring had a self-contained space inside. It was a vacuum state, and lifeless objects could be placed inside. The Ministry of Science and Technology had developed a small spatial ring this time. Each of them had 3 cubic meters of space inside. Just like this, the price of a spatial ring had reached 200 million. As soon as this spatial ring went on the market, it caused a rush to buy it. Later on, the price would rise steadily. It would be difficult to buy a spatial ring for 500 million. Lin Jun calculated the time. There was still about a month before the spatial ring went on the market. He had to have 200 million within a month. After saying goodbye to his parents, Lin Jun drove his Raptor out of the villa area. Not long after he left, Meng Dong called again. Lin Jun, where are you now? I'm on my way. What's up? Come quickly. Guess who I saw at the Flying Bird Wine? Who? And Ning. There's a man shamelessly pestering her. Come quickly. Also, I heard their conversation. And Ning seems to be the eldest daughter of the Yin family. P.S. If you don't understand the classification of this book, you can read the introduction. Chapter 32. Now, other than the base city and the military, the most powerful forces were the martial arts schools, followed by the major families. And Group was a large conglomerate in the pharmaceutical, military, media, hotel, and many other industries. It had hundreds of billions of assets and was one of the top 3 conglomerates in Bingqing City. And Ning was the eldest daughter of Group. Lin Jun knew about this, but in his previous life, he only found out about it a year later. In this life, there were obvious changes. And Ran was the only girl that Lin Jun had ever liked. He remembered that in his previous life, and Ran did not participate in the physical fitness test for the graduation exam. Lin Jun had felt sorry for Ran, but he later found out that it was not that Ran could not participate in the graduation exam, but that she did not need to. As the eldest daughter of Group, and Ning had hundreds of millions of assets. She did not need to run around for a living. Moreover, and Ning was very strong. And Ning was a telekinesis master. The first person to discover this secret was Ouyang. It had to be said that this brat still had some eyesight. He was the first to discover that a Ning had spiritual force, so he gave her the spiritual force potion. Unfortunately, and Ning didn't even put him in her eyes, so he didn't give her the potion. Later, and Ning's identity was exposed. She was a beautiful daughter of a wealthy family. She was also one of the best martial artists and a telekinesis master. All these gave her an unapproachable aura, and no one could get close to her. In his previous life, he did not have the chance to be with a Ning. He did not even dare to confess to a Ning. After Bingcheng City-based city was conquered by the monsters, he lost contact with a Ning. Until he left Earth, he did not hear from a Ning again. The biggest possibility was that a Ning had stayed in Bingcheng City-based city forever. This time, he would not allow that to happen again. Lin Jun drove to the entrance of Flying Bird Wine. He parked the car and walked into the bar. Meng Dong was in a corner. He lowered his head and looked like a thief. Lin Jun walked over. Before he could say anything, he was pulled to sit down. Lin Jun, look at that corner. And Ning is with a handsome guy. I know that guy. He's always on the cover of financial magazines. The young master of Wanhao Group, Li Tianhao, seems to be pursuing a Ning. Marriott Group? Li Wanfeng's group? Yes, Li Wanfeng is this Li Tianhao's father. His parents are both war god level fighters. He's about the same age as us, but he doesn't seem to be a fighter yet. Lin Jun looked over. Sure enough, in a corner, a young man was holding a bouquet of flowers and saying something to a Ning. And Ning seemed a little impatient, but she didn't leave. She stood there in silence. Lin Jun patted Meng Dong's shoulder. Let's go and take a look. Just the two of us. Meng Dong was stunned. What's wrong with the two of us? The guy is very rich. Meng Dong, you're now an advanced student of Lifeng. Do you still need to be so timid? Meng Dong clearly hadn't changed his mindset. When he heard Lin Jun's words, he realized that he wasn't an ordinary person. He immediately regained his confidence and stood up with Lin Jun. The two of them walked to a Ning's table. Lin Jun took the initiative to greet her. Hi, Ning. Lin Jun, why are you here? Seeing Lin Jun appear, and Ning's beautiful big eyes suddenly lit up. She was overjoyed. Today is Meng Dong's good day. He successfully took the custom-made potion. We came out to drink together. I didn't expect to see you here. Do you mind if we join? Is that so? That's great. I also know that custom-made potions aren't that easy to succeed. Congratulations, Meng Dong. I happen to have nothing to do, so I'll accompany you to drink. And Ning said as she pulled out a chair beside her. Lin Jun immediately sat down beside Ning. Meng Dong, on the other hand, said to Li Tianhao without any trace of politeness, Bro, move in a bit. Give me some space. Li Tianhao looked at the two uninvited guests with a face full of disgust. He was very dissatisfied that the two of them had disturbed his good time, especially that guy called Lin Jun. Why did he have to sit beside Ning? He could only sit opposite her. Moreover, looking at Ning's expression, she seemed to have a good impression of him. In Li Tianhao's heart, Lin Jun's threat immediately rose several levels. However, Li Tianhao was also experienced. Although he was disgusted, he didn't want to show it in front of Ning. As the young master of a large group, he naturally had a way to make these two ignorant guys ashamed. The disgust disappeared in a flash. Li Tianhao had a smile on his face. He said to Ning, Ning, are these two your classmates? Ning snorted through her nose. Yes, they're my classmates in high school. Young Master Li, please call me by my name. It doesn't matter. Our families are so familiar. You have been like my sister since childhood. Naturally, you're different from others. Li Tianhao finished speaking and looked at Lin Jun. Listening to your conversation, you're martial artists? Yes, we are from the Zephyr Martial Arts School. Meng Dong said casually. He knew that Lin Jun liked Ning, and Ning seemed to have a good impression of Lin Jun. As a good friend of Lin Jun, he naturally had to speak for Lin Jun at this moment. Oh, Zephyr Martial Arts School. I am very familiar with it. Our family has hired many martial artists who have retired from the school. Many of them are from Zephyr. You may not know some of them, but I will say one person you are definitely familiar with. Who? Does old who know? Hu Yifei. He has agreed to my family's invitation yesterday and is preparing to leave the school to join our Wanhao group as the deputy captain of the security team. Old Hu is going to leave the school. Mengdong and Lin Jun both froze for a moment. Of course they knew Old Hu. It was that Old Hu who went to recruit students and discovered Fu Qingya and the others. It was just that Fu Qingya and the others' performance in the school was completely suppressed by Lin Jun and Mengdong. After Mengdong's private order today, Old Hu's limelight in the school was once again overshadowed by Zhao Yang. It was said that Dongfang Jun even talked to Old Hu, but the content was unknown. They didn't think that Old Hu would actually want to leave the school. The two of them really didn't know about this. Seeing Lin Jun and Mengdong's expressions, Li Tianhao became even more proud. He leaned back in his chair and lightly tapped the table with his finger. Speaking of you martial artists, to normal people, you are naturally high and mighty. You seem very awesome, but in their eyes, you're just ordinary. First of all, my parents are both war god-level martial artists. Adding on the fame of our Wanhao group, as long as we pay the right price, wouldn't we be able to summon you? Martial artists are also commodities. In this world, there is nothing that can't be bought with money. Mengdong was clearly stunned by Li Tianhao's words. In his opinion, martial artists at Old Hu's level were unattainable. To be able to be poached away from the school, this Li Tianhao's power was too great. And Ning looked at Lin Jun with some worry, afraid that Lin Jun would be angry because of the other's words. She wanted to speak up for Lin Jun, but she didn't know what to say for a moment. Lin Jun smiled slightly. What you said can't be considered completely wrong. Everyone is different. There will always be martial artists who give up their pursuit for money, but one thing will never change. Such martial artists will never be able to reach the peak. They have already lost the integrity of martial artists. A true genius will never do such a thing. In my eyes, such martial artists are no longer martial artists. They are only slaves to money. No matter how strong they are, it is not worth mentioning. Li Tianhao didn't expect that Lin Jun, a student-level rookie, would dare to refute him when Old Hu was mentioned. His expression changed, and then he sneered, "So you think you are a genius?" "I don't dare to say that, but I can't be considered bad either," Lin Jun retorted without any trace of politeness. "Good. I really didn't expect there to be someone who calls himself a genius. How about this? Aren't you a student? I will now let you see what a genius among students is." After that, Li Tianhao took out his phone and made a call. He only said a few words. "I am at Flying Bird Wine. Come over for a moment." Mengdong couldn't help but ask, "Who are you calling?" He, don't worry. You are students. I will not find warlords to bully you. I will let you see what a genius student is. You still work for my Wanhao group. Do you know Azure Sky Dojo? Yes, I know. It is the 9th dojo in Bingsheng. Although Azure Sky is ranked 9th, there is a genius called Madden this year. Our Wanhao group sponsored him to practice martial arts. He took the genetic potion and got an excellent evaluation. He is now my personal bodyguard. He is now a 9th level warrior. When he comes, you can have a good discussion. Mengdong's expression changed. A 9th level warrior with an excellent evaluation was almost the peak of a warrior. Such a person definitely had more potential than Old Hu. He didn't expect that he would also become a lackey of a rich man. Li Tianhao observed Mengdong's expression and felt proud. He continued, "And Ning, you may not know the life of a martial artist, but I have a group of martial artists as servants in my family. I know a little. These martial artists go out every day to kill monsters for a little money. If they are lucky, they can earn some money if they encounter a lone monster. If they are unlucky, they will be eaten by the monster, and not even their bones will be left. Therefore, when it comes to choosing a partner, martial artists are the most unreliable. This is also why I don't want to take the genetic potion, even though I already have the strength of a 3rd-level warrior. I prefer to control everything behind the scenes. For example, Madden, if it weren't for our Wanhao group's help, he would have starved to death on the streets. But with our help, he succeeded. A 9th-level warrior is also considered a student. I don't know if the two of you can compare." And Ning was not as ignorant as Li Tianhao said. Lin Jun knew in his heart that Ning was now a 7th-level warrior and was not far from awakening his psychic power. After Ning took the psychic power potion, he would be promoted to a warlord. And Ning had not mentioned this to anyone, so Li Tianhao did not know. In Ning's opinion, Li Tianhao called Madden over to attack Lin Jun's confidence. Lin Jun was just a warrior. How could he surpass a 9th-level warrior with an excellent evaluation? Although Lin Jun had never said anything to Ning, and Ning didn't want Lin Jun to be attacked. She was hot-headed and grabbed Lin Jun's hand. Lin Jun, let's go out for a walk. Chapter 33. After Ning grabbed Lin Jun's hand, she realized how inappropriate her actions were. Her delicate face was flushed red. She wanted to let go of him, but she felt awkward. Lin Jun was also stunned, but the next moment, Lin Jun grabbed Ning's hand and smiled at her. Ning, what's the rush? We haven't eaten yet. Let's sit for a while. Ning's mind was blank. She nodded in a daze and sat down obediently. She even forgot that her hand was still being held by Lin Jun's large hand. Li Tianhao could no longer keep a straight face. The veins on his forehead were faintly throbbing. He glared at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, it seems like you didn't hear anything I said just now. I heard it, but it didn't make any sense. I just casually listened. You'd better let go of my hand right now. Otherwise, you'll be in for a treat. In Li Tianhao's heart, Ning was his future wife. How could he tolerate Lin Jun, this brat, holding her hand? He stood up angrily, as if he wanted to hit him. But just as he stood up, Meng Dong reached out and pressed him back down. Sit down obediently. Can't you see that they're in love? Meng Dong said without thinking. Lin Jun was holding Ning's hand. At this moment, her heart was pounding and she was in a daze. However, when she heard Meng Dong say that she was in a relationship, she immediately woke up and hurriedly withdrew her hand from Lin Jun's hand. Lin Jun was speechless. He thought to himself, Meng Dong, this brat, sometimes can't do anything right. Meng Dong's words angered Li Tianhao even more. He could no longer control the anger in his heart. He picked up the phone again and called. As soon as the call connected, he shouted anxiously, Madden, where the hell are you? Why aren't you here yet? Someone is slapping this young master's face. Come here and cripple him. It's just a warrior. Don't tell me you can't handle it. You'll definitely be able to handle it, right? I'll be there in a minute. Okay, I'll wait for you. Hanging up the phone, Li Tianhao looked at Lin Jun with a grin. Lin Jun, since you are so blind, then this young master can only fulfill your death wish. In a moment, when Dongzi arrives, you will know what terror is. After that, Li Tianhao leaned back in his chair, looking like he was dead meat. Lin Jun, Ning was a little worried. Never mind, Dongzi. Let's order. I'm hungry. Lin Jun didn't care about that at all. Meng Dong also got up and was about to call the waiter to order, but at this time, the door outside opened and a vigorous young man strode in. Ow! Which idiot dares to provoke you? See if I don't cripple him. Over here, Madden, come here. Li Tianhao immediately became spirited and called out to Madden. Madden strode over. Li Tianhao pointed at Lin Jun. It's this kid from Lifeng Martial Arts School. You don't have to worry about Lifeng. They won't fall out with our Wanhao group for a mere student. No matter what happens, I'll support you. Ow. With your words, I'll do whatever I want. But you'd better take that beauty out first. It won't be good if I tear down this bar and hurt you. Li Tianhao immediately said to Ning, Ning, these martial artists don't know how to fight. You'd better go out with me first. Don't worry about these barbarians. Ning rolled her eyes at Li Tianhao. Instead, she moved closer to Lin Jun. Although she didn't say anything, her actions said everything. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. Madden, do it. Li Tianhao had already left his seat. He didn't want to be implicated. Seeing that the opponent was coming, Lin Jun also stood up and said to Meng Dong, Dongzi, protect Ning. I'll take care of this kid. Don't worry, I won't let a single strand of sister-in-law's hair get hurt. Lin Jun nodded and turned to Madden. You should be taught a lesson for being an accomplice to the evildoer. Don't boast shamelessly. I'm a 9th-level warrior at the peak, and I'm about to advance to a warlord. Since I advanced to the 9th level, I haven't lost a single fight with a warrior. I really look down on martial arts schools like you. Today, I'll let you, huh? Before Madden finished his words, he suddenly looked at Lin Jun with some doubts. I seem to have seen you somewhere before. Lin Jun snorted. I haven't seen you before. Madden didn't move. Instead, he stared at Lin Jun's face in confusion. After looking carefully for a while, his expression suddenly changed. Li Tianhao, who was behind him, became impatient and said to Madden, "Madden, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and cripple this kid for me. I want one of his legs." At this time, Madden turned to Li Tianhao and said, "How? Is this warrior called Lin Jun?" "Yes, his name is Lin Jun." "Why? Do you know him?" "I can't tell you that I know him. Today, I won't give anyone face. You must cripple him for me. It really is Lai Feng's Lin Jun." Madden took a deep breath and closed his eyes for a while before opening them again. He seemed to have made up his mind about something. He turned to Li Tianhao and said, "How? I'm afraid I can't help you with this matter. You should find someone else." "Are you crazy? Do you know what you're saying? Don't say that I don't have anywhere to find someone else. Even if there is, I won't go. I'm taking your salary. If you can't even take care of an ordinary student, what use do I have for you?" Li Tianhao looked at Madden in disbelief. Madden said with a bitter face, "That's right, Hao. I'm taking your salary, but I have to do things within the scope of my ability. You found an opponent that I can't beat at all. Isn't this a disguised attempt to cripple me? I was seriously injured by Lin Jun. I'm afraid you'll kick me away." "What did you say? You can't beat Lin Jun? You're a level 9 warrior. You can't even beat a level 8 warrior." Madden didn't dare to offend Li Tianhao. He could only continue, "How? You can ask around. Among the new generation of students in Bingsheng, who is more famous than Lin Jun, not to mention a level 9 warrior like me, even a famous warlord was almost killed by Lin Jun with one shot. Do you think I'm so great just because I have an excellent evaluation? He has a custom-made weapon with a 99% improvement. This record is unheard of in the country. You want me to fight with such a person? Aren't you pushing me into a fire pit? This kid is so strong." Li Tianhao looked at Lin Jun in disbelief, then said to Madden, "I don't care. You took my money, so you have to work for me." Madden's face became serious. "How? Between martial artists, money can't solve everything. What martial artists recognize the most is strength. I joined the Wan Hao group not entirely for money. A considerable part of the reason is because your father, Li Wanfeng, is a warlord. I know that this group has the backing of a warlord and is guaranteed. If your family is just a simple businessman, forgive me for being blunt, but I won't go no matter how much money you give me. Because without a strong martial artist, no matter how much money you have, your foundation is unstable. Any random expert can flatten your group overnight. So how can you not always talk about money? If you still use money to pressure me, then I can only resign." Madden's words made Li Tianhao stunned. As the young master of the group, he had a warlord-level parent protecting him. He also had an endless amount of money in his hands. He had never encountered this kind of situation before. He had reached the peak of level 3 under his parents' training since he was young. Now, he was also facing the threshold of taking a genetic potion. His father, Li Wanfeng, wanted him to take a custom-made potion. Moreover, the success rate was about 60%. Because Li Wanfeng had made a custom-made potion, Li Tianhao was his son. Under the influence of his genes, this kind of custom-made potion was relatively easy to prepare. The father and son genes were similar, so the success rate was naturally high. This was the advantage of the family practicing martial arts. However, even with a success rate of 60%, Li Tianhao didn't dare to take the risk. He proposed to take the all-purpose potion, but was rejected by Li Wanfeng. In Li Wanfeng's opinion, his son naturally wanted to become an outstanding martial artist. A common potion like the all-purpose potion was simply not good enough. These days, father and son have been arguing over this matter. Li Tianhao was not only timid, but also rebellious. These days, he simply wanted to be a behind-the-scenes commander, not a martial artist who personally went into battle. However, at this moment, he suddenly realized the importance of strength. Madden didn't dare to make a move against Lin Jun. No matter how much money he gave, it was useless. This was the embodiment of strength. Lin Jun just sat there without moving, and he had lost all face. Looking at the mocking smile on Meng Dong's face, Li Tianhao felt his face burning. He didn't even dare to look at Ning. It turned out that the real reason he thought he was awesome was that he had good parents. Others also saw his parents, not him, Li Tianhao. He liked Ning, but Ning had never treated him well. However, she allowed Lin Jun to hold her hand. This matter made Li Tianhao feel as if a knife was cutting his heart. The person who had humiliated him today was Lin Jun. He had never felt this kind of humiliation before. He had also never hated someone so much. Chapter 34. After leaving the bar, Li Tianhao made a phone call home from his car. "Hello. Mom, where's my dad?" The person who answered the phone was called Zhao Siqing, Li Tianhao's mother. She was also a war god-level warrior. It was very rare for a woman to reach this stage. Generally speaking, the ratio of male to female warriors was about 10 to 1. Due to the limitation of talent, it was more difficult for a woman to break through. However, those who could break through were undoubtedly strong warriors. Li Wanfeng was also a war god, but in terms of strength, Zhao Siqing was still above him. "Your dad is here. Son, where are you? Do you want her dad to answer the phone?" "No need. Just tell my dad that I'll go back now. Prepare a custom-made potion for me. I'm going to break through today." Zhao Siqing said happily. "You finally thought it through? That's my good son. Can you tell Mom why you thought it through today?" "Because I want to deal with a person who is also a warrior. He's fighting with me over Ning, so I have to kill him personally." "Who's so bold?" "Son, tell Mom. Mom will kill him immediately," Zhao Siqing said sternly. As a mother, she doted on her son more than Li Wanfeng. "No need. I have to solve this matter myself. Mom, you and Dad don't interfere. Otherwise, I won't take the potion." Okay. I'll listen to you. Come back quickly. Your dad and I will wait for you." After hanging up the phone, Zhao Siqing said to Li Wanfeng, who had been listening attentively, "Did you hear that? Your son actually thought it through and decided to take a custom-made potion because of jealousy. This is a good thing. You have to prepare the potion well. My son can't have anything happen to him. Wife, don't worry. The probability of success for this custom-made potion is very high. At least 60%. If it still doesn't succeed, then I, as a war god, can just kill myself. Then do you really think we should let our son solve this matter by himself? Of course. Young people should have more experience. If we don't let him solve it by himself, he might be unhappy and his future achievements will be limited. I believe that my son is not a coward." Only Lin Jun and the other two were left in the bar. Mengdong gave Lin Jun a thumbs up. "Lin Jun, I only realized today how important a martial artist reputation is. I didn't think I was a match for that Madden, but when I saw you, it was like a mouse seeing a cat. You've made a name for yourself in the martial artist circle." And Ning also nodded and said, "Lin Jun, you're amazing." It's just a coincidence. Let's not talk about this. Today, we're celebrating Mengdong. Let's drink. Mengdong yelled and ordered a table full of delicious food. However, before they could start eating, Ning received a call from home. The call was from Ning's father. Ning was ordered to go back immediately. The reason was not stated, but everyone knew the reason. This was Li Tianhao's doing. Ning's family was informed that Ning was with a young martial artist student. As expected, Ning's father was anxious and hurried to find his precious daughter. Ning wanted to refute, but Lin Jun shook his head and stopped her. "Since your family is looking for you, you should go back. You didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry. We're just classmates now, aren't we?" Ning looked deeply at Lin Jun and nodded. She was obviously a little depressed. When Ning's beautiful figure was about to walk out of the bar, Lin Jun suddenly said, "Ning, one day I'll go to your house to find you. Will you wait for me?" Ning looked back and stared at Lin Jun for a long time. Suddenly, she smiled. At that moment, her beauty was like 100 flowers blooming. "Then don't come too late. I'm worried that I won't be able to wait." Seeing Ning's back disappear, Lin Jun turned his attention back to the table. However, he saw Mengdong staring at him blankly. "What are you looking at?" "Lin, I realize that you're very thick-skinned now. You weren't like this in the past." "Haha. If there's a flower to be plucked, it must be plucked. Someone like you who looks rough, but is actually wretched will probably be single for the rest of your life." "Damn, just based on this bro's handsome appearance, I can't be single even if I'm single. The two of them talked nonsense and drank for half a day. It wasn't until evening that Lin Jun drove Meng Dong away. After sending off Meng Dong, Lin Jun didn't go home. Instead, he went to the dojo and found a training room to cultivate his telekinesis. He practiced for half the night, but the results were obvious. He could finally control 3 throwing knives smoothly. We're going to enter the wilderness tomorrow. Although I'm now a level 8 warrior, I'm still the weakest in the entire team. My telekinesis has reached 40% silver. I could be considered to be in the middle silver stage. Being able to control 3 throwing knives will be my strongest life-saving means. It wasn't until dawn that Lin Jun rested for more than 2 hours and woke up at 8 o'clock. He ate breakfast provided by the dojo in the morning. After that, Shirley, Zhao Yang, and the others arrived. Lin Jun put on the deerskin clothes he bought. He carried the black dragon spear on his back and inserted the throwing knives. He also brought a big bag with a lot of things he bought online. This big bag can also be used to store trophies. After a warrior kills a monster, it's impossible to take the monster's body away. However, some precious things will be collected. Lin Jun, are you ready? Shirley was also wearing a protective suit. He carried a long sword on his back and looked energetic. Almost ready. Almost ready. We're heading north this time. We'll pass by a satellite city called Peony City. From there, we can go to our destination, which is here. As he spoke, Shirley spread out a map on the dining table and pointed at it with his finger. The surrounding team members gathered around. Gao Yin looked at the place Shirley pointed, and his eyes lit up. Ilan County. This place is a treasure. It's close to Wanda Mountain on the left and Songhua River on the right. During the Day of God's Change, this place was a disaster area. Monsters almost slaughtered Ilan County. Those monsters left the mountains because they lived in the city for a long time. They even gradually changed their habits and lived in the city. This county is a paradise for monsters. Zhao Yang looked at Shirley. Captain, with our team's strength, we used to be in the wilderness, villages, or at most towns. This time, we're going directly to the county. The risk is a bit higher. Shirley waved his hand. We're not going directly to the core area of Ilan County. At first, we're going to wander around the edge and gradually clear a path to the core, because I got some inside information. What information? Several people's eyes fell on Shirley's face. Shirley first looked around and saw that no one was paying attention to the corner of the restaurant. He lowered his voice and said to several people, I have a brother in the Peony City Army. When the brother was on the night shift on the city wall, he used the military radar to find a giant bear in the northwest of the oil city. It has been injured and fled. It entered Ilan County to recuperate. As long as we can kill this injured bear, it's enough for our team to eat for 2 years. This news made the other warriors' eyes light up. The brown bear was a B-class monster. There must be beast crystals in its body. Just this big guy alone was probably worth hundreds of millions. Adding on the income from killing small monsters along the way, it was possible to earn 200 million on this trip. Only Gao Yin pondered for a moment. The bear is not easy to deal with. We'd better plan carefully. We don't want to capsize in Ilan County. Of course, the map of Ilan County is ready. We'd rather return without success than be greedy. We can't retreat immediately. How about it? Do you all dare to take this trip? Go, why wouldn't we? It's rare to get insider information. If other warrior teams find out, we won't even be able to drink the soup. Of course we have to go. If we don't dare to take such an opportunity, I'll be so sad that I can't sleep at night. Several team members were very excited. Shirley finally looked at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, what do you think? It's a bit dangerous on your first hunting trip. Are you worried? Lin Jun shook his head. There's nothing to worry about. Although he said this, Lin Jun's heart was in turmoil. Ilan County. When a meteor shower fell, it was a disaster area. The city was almost razed to the ground, but there were many meteorites left in the county. Many meteorites have been taken away by the base city and the Ministry of Science and Technology. However, the world was so big that there were still many meteorites left in the wild. Lin Jun knew that there was a very precious meteorite in Ilan County. Meteorites were precious because of the energy contained in them. This kind of energy had been discovered by the Ministry of Science and Technology and named dark energy. The so-called dark energy was the strongest energy in the universe. It was also a necessary item for the Ministry of Science and Technology to make genetic potions. Meteorites were prohibited. Private ownership and trading were prohibited, even for warriors. Once discovered, they would be severely punished by the base city. This was one of the few punishments that could restrain warriors. If a warrior absorbed the dark energy in a meteorite, his body would be further strengthened. Generally speaking, only warriors in the star realm could successfully absorb the energy. If a warrior below the star realm wanted to absorb it, the conditions were more stringent. The meteorite that appeared in Elon County contained a fist-sized dark energy stone. Lin Jun still vaguely remembered that this meteorite was eventually obtained by a woman. She was a level 9 warrior. After absorbing this dark energy stone by accident, the woman broke the physiological limit of women and reached the standard of a warlord in terms of strength. After this matter was exposed, people discussed this meteorite. They said that it was a waste to give it to a woman. If it was given to a male warrior, he would definitely be a master. However, at this stage, even if an ordinary warrior was given a piece of dark energy stone, he would not know how to absorb it. However, Lin Jun really could not remember who the woman was. Well, since everyone agrees, let's go. I will drive one car, and the 4 of you will drive 2 cars. I see that Lin Jun also bought a car. It will come in handy. They went out and got into the cars. Shirley's black horse was in front, followed by Yi Tianqing's and Gao Yan's Phantom of the Great Wall, and lastly, Lin Jun's and Zhao Liang's Raptor. The 3 cars roared and went straight to the north gate of Bingqing Bay City. P.S. Last week, I tried to get on the list of new books. I didn't succeed, but it's okay. If I fail, I will try again. Dear readers, if you think this book is good, please vote for me. Add this book to your bookshelf. Chapter 35. When the car arrived at the north gate, soldiers came to inspect them. Shirley showed his ID, and the gate was quickly opened. Zhao Yang sat in the front passenger seat and didn't stop talking. TSK, TSK. Every time I see this wall, I feel amazed. The people from a few hundred years ago were really amazing. They were actually able to build such a big city while fighting against monsters. If it wasn't for this wall, I'm afraid my grandfather wouldn't have been born in this world, let alone me. Lin Jun smiled. This wall is really important. Of course it's important. Look at the bones of the mutated beasts below the wall. It's the white ash that was left behind when the monsters attacked the city. It's a pity that ever since I became a warrior, I haven't experienced a monster attack. Thinking about the scene of monsters covering the sky and covering the earth, I can't help but want to look up to the sky and roar. Lin Jun looked around. Although the wall was getting farther and farther away, within 100 meters of the wall, the soil was white. In fact, it wasn't soil, but ashes left behind after the monster corpses were burned. You could also see some large bones scattered among the ashes. A monster attack was a very terrifying thing. However, in the past few years, the defenses of the base cities had become more and more perfect. In order to survive, humans had thought of all the ways they could think of to strengthen their defenses. Although there had been countless monster attacks in the past few hundred years, these large base cities had never fallen even once. After the car left the base city, they didn't immediately enter the wilderness. In a situation where warriors were out hunting for long periods of time, it was very difficult to see any traces of monsters near the base city. 200 kilometers north was the satellite city of the north, Peony City. Peony City was originally called Peony River, but it was no longer the original location. After the disaster, the people of Peony River migrated on a large scale, and only then did they gain a foothold here. They gradually developed and became the satellite city of the north. Further north from Peony City, there weren't any large human cities in China. As the car got closer to Peony City in the north, the surrounding scenery gradually changed. There was also white ash here, and the amount was no less than Bingqing. This was because satellite cities were often the first to be attacked. Every time the monsters attacked, the battle here would be very intense. Looking at the horizon, he could even see mutated birds flying by occasionally. Zhao Yang saw Lin Jun looking at the sky and laughed. Don't worry about those small mutant birds. There are no large flocks of mutant birds nearby. Most of them are just sparrows and swallows. Galleon will take care of them easily. Lin Jun smiled and said, I'm not worried. With the last car, there are mutated beasts and captain. Ah, that's right. Right now, the two of us are just bystanders. After driving for another 20 miles, a gunshot was heard from the front. A huge swallow with a wingspan of about 2 feet fell from the sky. Gao Yin fired a shot. Did you see that? It was a headshot. Although it was a rank F mutated beast, it was in the air. This kid's sniper rifle training has reached perfection. If we were to fight face to face, I would definitely win. If we were a few hundred meters apart, he could take down 3 people like me. As Zhao Yang spoke, he saw that Lin Jun did not respond. He seemed to have thought of something and said, Lin Jun, this is your first time out hunting, right? Yes, this is my first time. I say, you don't know much about the ranks of mutated beasts. Let me tell you, things like swallows, sparrows, frogs, geckos, rats, rabbits, small fish, chickens, ducks, and geese, after mutating, are rank F mutated beasts. These kinds of things are very weak individually. We can usually take care of them easily. However, if they form a group, they can be very scary. For example, if there are too many rats and they form a rat tide, it will be a disaster. We have to run as far as we can. Things like sheep, pigs, cats, small snakes, and small pet dogs, after mutating, are rank E. These kinds of things are not difficult to deal with. But things like large dogs, cows, horses, larger birds, roe deer, and so on, after mutating, are very difficult to deal with. Those are rank D. There are also wolves, owls, leopards, and wild boars, which are rank C. These kinds of things are even harder to deal with. We usually have to work together to deal with them. This time we want to deal with the giant paw bear, which is a rank B. In addition to the giant bear, tigers, lions, rhinoceroses, crocodiles, elephants, and so on are all rank B. But we basically don't see rhinoceroses and elephants here. If we encounter a rank B beast, we have to run away. We can only try our luck when we encounter one that is injured and weakened. Rank A beasts are even harder to see. They are all double mutated beasts in various species. For example, the enemy of the 10,000 men in Little Xing and Mountain is a big tiger. It has eaten too much flesh and blood and evolved twice. If we want to deal with that guy, we have to have a team of war gods. Lin Jin asked, what about those above rank A? That's S-class, SS class, and the highest SSS class. However, those things are basically not from the land. They're all giant beasts from the sea. It is said that the destruction of Japan in the AD calendar was caused by a group of giant beasts from the sea. Whether it's warlords or nuclear bombs, they're somewhat powerless against those monsters. Yes, I know this. It is said that there are giant octopuses the size of small mountains and humpback whales comparable to warships. They can all go ashore, but they can't go ashore for too long. Otherwise, humans would have been completely wiped out. You also know, look at my memory. You graduated from high school, so you naturally learn these things. I guess I said too much. Well said. Let me review the textbook knowledge, haha. While the two were chatting, the car finally arrived at Peony City. The population of Peony City was about 3 million. The city wall was not as high as Ice City, but it was still considered majestic. The car of the Demon Hunter team passed through the city. Zhao Yang said, right now, there are very few monsters near the city. However, once the number of monsters near the city increases, it may be a precursor to a monster attack. When that time comes, martial law will be imposed. It will be difficult to enter the city. They entered from the south gate, passed through the bustling streets of Peony City, and then went out from the north gate. After leaving Peony City, we can speed up. In another 200 miles, we will reach Ylan County. That place has never been completely conquered by humans. There are many high-level monsters there. TSK. A lot of money. I'm coming. Zhao Yang laughed, and Lin Jun also laughed. However, he found that there were still a lot of cars after leaving the city. He had a bad feeling in his heart. Gradually, Zhao Yang also found the difference. Why are there so many cars heading towards Ylan? I saw the cars of several warrior teams that I know. Are they all going to Elon? With doubts, the team continued to move forward. When they finally approached Elon, the nearby cars were almost lined up, and the car in front also stopped. Why did they stop? There is still some distance from Elon. Lin Jun and Zhao Liang got out of the car and saw that there were many soldiers setting up checkpoints in the distance. There were already many cars parked here, and there were even many people queuing up in the distance, as if they were entering in order. Why are there people from the army? And there are so many cars here. What's going on? Zhao Yang's face was a little ugly. So many people were coming in the direction of Elon. Maybe the matter of Brown Bear was leaked. Shirley came down. Gao Yin and Yi Tianxing also came down, and several people gathered together. Captain, what happened in front? I don't know. Let's go and take a look, but I have a bad feeling. Shirley's face was also a little ugly. Lin Jun did not speak and walked behind several people. But he was already very clear in his heart that the news of the giant palm bear must have been leaked. Even Shirley, who was not a strong warrior, could get the news, so it was normal for others to know. Chapter 36. They came to the checkpoint, where a warlord officer stood there. For military vehicles had blocked the road, and a cordon had been pulled around. Shirley, as the captain, walked in front and said to the officer, "Sir, why are you setting up a checkpoint here?" The officer glanced at Shirley. Elon County is in front. The giant bear appeared in Elon County and attracted many warriors to encircle and suppress it. However, there is news that the number of high-level mutant beasts in Elon County has skyrocketed, and many warriors have died in Elon County. In order to protect the warriors, the base city and the military jointly discussed and decided to set up a checkpoint here. Those warriors who are not strong enough are prohibited from entering Elon County during this time to avoid too many casualties and affect the safety of the base city itself. They looked at each other, feeling disappointed and pleasantly surprised at the same time. Although the news had been leaked, it was not a wasted trip. Although high-level mutant beasts were dangerous, they were also valuable. If they could gain something, this trip was worth it. At most, they would compete with other squads. Warriors were never afraid of competition. Shirley said again, "How can I get the qualification to enter Elon County?" The officer looked at them again. "I think it's better for your team not to go, especially those who are still students. Elon County is very dangerous, and those who are not strong enough are not allowed to enter." They were a little anxious. They had prepared for so long and came all the way here. How could they go back like this? Shirley said, "Sir, although there are still students in our team, the overall strength is still good. We have to give them a chance. Otherwise, how can we convince the warriors?" "Well, since you insist on trying, I will give you this opportunity. Do you see the town in front?" They looked forward. There was a town in front of them. It was a town under the former jurisdiction of Elon County. It was the only way to go from here to Elon County. "I see it. For those who insist on entering Elon County, the base city has regulations. The town is a temporary trial field. It has been surrounded by the military and has been roughly explored. It is divided into a warlord area and a warrior area. There are many monsters in it. Only by killing enough monsters in the town can you prove that you have the strength to enter. Those who do not meet the requirements are not allowed to enter the county." "Well, we will participate. Do you want to participate as a team or as an individual? What's the difference?" Of course, the team's total score is calculated. In the end, everyone's spoils are added together. If they reach the standard, they will enter Elon County together. If they can't reach the standard, even if they are a little bit worse, no one can enter. If it's individual score, it's simple. Shirley said, "Our team is a whole. No one can be missing. Let's do it in the name of the team." Yi Tianxing turned to look at Lin Jun, seemingly wanting to say something. In the end, however, he chose to keep his mouth shut. Lin Jun didn't say anything. Yi Tianxing was still doubting his own strength. Although his performance in the battle with Zhang Huai was outstanding, it was still a battle against another person. Humans tended to be more courageous when fighting with their own kind, but when facing ferocious, mutated beasts, it was hard to say if they could maintain their previous level. It was normal for him to have such doubts. However, Lin Jun didn't want to say anything. He would only speak with his actions. "Okay, It's confirmed that we will participate in the name of the team. Each warlord will pay 50,000 yuan, and each warrior will pay 20,000 yuan. As the captain, Shirley discussed with several people and immediately paid the fee. Okay, line up. Okay, go and line up. Those at the warrior level walk on the left, and those at the warlord level walk on the right. The difficulty level is different for both sides. The time limit is 12 hours. After 12 hours, you must come out from inside. You will enter as a team, so the final score will be the sum of the scores of all the members. Several people nodded. When Zhao Yang walked to the right, he said to Lin Jun, Lin Jun, this is your first time fighting a mutated beast. Remember not to try to be brave. You can familiarize yourself with the rhythm of the battle first, and do it step by step. Also, be careful of the other warriors inside. Now that you are famous in the warrior circle of the Bay City, there may be many warriors who are not convinced. You must be careful when the time comes. Thank you, Brother Zhao. I know. Shirley and the others were about to turn and walk away when another team came from behind. Captain, it's the Devil God's people. Shirley's face changed. He turned his head and saw that the team was already in front of him. Ha ha, look who it is. Isn't this the boastful demon hunter? The person who spoke and laughed was a lean man with a long knife on his back. There were several scars on his face, which made him look somewhat ferocious. There were 4 people behind him. One of them was a warrior with a long spear on his back, and the other was a tall and strong man with a rocket launcher in his left hand and a battle axe in his right hand. In addition to the 3 men, the other 2 were women. When Lin Jun saw one of the women, he was stunned. He actually knew this woman. She used to be his neighbor and grew up with Lin Jun. Her family was similar to Lin Jun's, and she was 1 year older than Lin Jun. Her name was Li Mengxi, and she was a very beautiful girl. The 2 of them were childhood sweethearts. When they were young, their neighbors used to tease Lin Jun, asking him what kind of wife he wanted to find when he grew up. At that time, the young Lin Jun said that he wanted to find Li Mengxi as his wife, which made people laugh. When he grew up, he was often teased by his parents, which made Lin Jun feel very embarrassed. It was said that Li Mengxi passed the graduation exam as a girl and was recruited by a martial arts school. At that time, it caused quite a stir in the neighborhood. It was only a year ago, but for the current Lin Jun, it had been 1,000 years. His memories of Li Mengxi were somewhat blurry. Now that he thought about it, Lin Jun remembered something else. At that time, because Lin Jun was often with Li Mengxi, he was often teased by the adults. Li Mengxi even thought that Lin Jun liked her very much. After Li Mengxi passed the graduation exam, she once talked to Lin Jun alone. However, she did say that the 2 of them were not suitable for each other. She said that she wished Lin Jun to find true love in the future. Lin Jun was a little disappointed at that time, but not much. At that time, Lin Jun had already discovered that he did not really like Li Mengxi. The person he liked was a Ning. As for Li Mengxi, he only liked her like an older sister. Moreover, their personalities were not suitable. Li Mengxi was a very realistic girl. Although being realistic was not wrong, and Ning was what he really wanted. Later, Lin Jun also heard about Li Mengxi's affairs. It seemed that her life was not very good. She had followed several warriors. She wanted to pursue a good life, but she never got what she wanted. This made Lin Jun sigh at that time. If he did not see Li Mengxi today, Lin Jun would not have remembered this matter. This was not part of his plan after his rebirth. Li Mengxi's long hair was tied up. She was wearing a black leather suit. Her figure was very good. Her face was delicate and beautiful, with a little light makeup. Beside her, there was another girl with purple hair. She was also 18 or 19 years old. Li Mengxi was a little surprised to see Lin Jun. She was stunned for a moment and said, Lin Jun, why are you here? Sister Mengxi, I am now a member of the Demon Hunter Squad. Chapter 37. The girl beside Li Mengxi was looking at Lin Jun with great interest, but when she heard Li Mengxi's words, she immediately asked, Mengxi, who's this handsome guy? Li Mengxi turned to the girl beside her and said, Ruo, this is Lin Jun, my old neighbor. He's the one I told you about, oh? So this is your former suitor. He's quite handsome, but why does he look so familiar? She was familiar with Lin Jun because of the video of his fight with Zhang Huai. However, Lin Jun knew that his reputation was mainly among the students of the dojo. Teams like these that went out for a long time were no longer in the category of ordinary students. For example, Lim Mengshi and Ruo Ruo were now late-stage level 9 warriors. Because they had been fighting mutated beasts for a long time, their average strength was stronger than the students of the dojo at the same level. Their rich combat experience gave them courage and skills that surpassed the average student. Lin Jun saw that Li Mengshi and Ruo Ruo were carrying sniper rifles on their backs and silver Desert Eagle 5th-generation pistols at their waists. He understood. When girls became martial artists, most of them chose to walk the path of firearms. After all, they were limited by their innate physiques, so their achievements in cold weapons were limited. Firearms were the best choice. Ruo thought for a while, but couldn't remember who Lin Jun was. She raised her head and said, "Lin Jun, is it? Since you like Mengshi, then you'd better quit the demon hunters. The reason is simple. Our leader hates demon hunters the most. If you join that team, won't you be going against Mengshi?" Lin Jun didn't like Ruo's tone and attitude, but he wasn't going to argue with a little girl. He smiled and shook his head. "I'm just a new student. It's good enough that a team took me in. How can I be picky? Oomph. You don't know what's good for you. No wonder Mengshi rejected you. You deserve to be single until you die." Lin Jun frowned. Just as he was about to say something, Zhao Liang walked over. "Lin Jun, what are you still doing here? We're about to enter the venue. If we're delayed, we'll have to wait another day before we can enter." Seeing Zhao Liang walk over, Li Mengshi and Ro turned around and walked to the front of the line. At this time, Zhao Liang said to Lin Jun, "Do you know these two women? I know one of them. He used to be my neighbor. He graduated a year earlier than me. Is it that Li Mengshi?" "Yes, Brother Zhao knows her too. I know them, but I'm not very familiar with them. Instead, it's the 3 men in their team who are old rivals of our demon hunters." "Why?" "The reason is very simple. Our team was named Demon Hunters, while their team was named Demon Gods. Didn't our name violate their taboo? Since then, blade, gun, and cannon have been looking for trouble with us everywhere. We've already fought with each other several times. Do you know why our team was short of a person and had to recruit from the student body?" Lin Jun was stunned. "Could it be?" "Yes. Old Lu was once alone during a hunt and was ambushed by knife, gun, and cannon. Although those bastards didn't admit it, we know that they were the ones who did it. Blade, gun, and cannon are those 3 men. Yes, the captain is called Zhou Tai. He's the one who uses a blade and is the strongest. If it's a one-on-one fight, no one in our team is a match for him. The one who uses a spear is called Hua Xiaofeng. He's very good at using a spear and is very difficult to deal with. Last but not least, did you see the guy with a rocket launcher in his left hand? That guy is called Kong Shan. His rocket launcher is the most powerful, and he can even fire it at close range. He was the one who killed old Lu. His corpse was not even found." Zhao Yang sighed. "Just now, Shirley argued with them and even made a bet. They said that if the 2 teams competed, whichever team got the least loot would unconditionally lose 100 million to the other team. Shirley thought that since you're the only warrior on our side, and the 2 women on the other side are both warriors, we might have a slight advantage. However, the strength of saber, gun, and cannon alone is probably above the 4 of us who are at the warlord level. Therefore, this bet is not optimistic." Lin Jun was a little speechless. Shirley was a little reckless, but his feelings were understandable. "Well, I've said so much just to tell you to be careful. The 2 women on the other side are not easy to deal with. If you're targeted by 2 long-range sniper rifles, it will be difficult for an ordinary warlord to escape. After you enter, stay away from them. Don't worry, Brother Zhao. I'll be fine. That's the best. I'll go first. It's almost time to enter. You should go and line up too." Shirley led his 3 teammates to the right side, and Lin Jun went to the left side. When they arrived at the line, Lin Jun realized that there were really a lot of people here. Li Mengshi and Ro were 5 or 6 places in front of him. The front of the line was not open yet, but there were already no less than 50 warriors in front of him. Moreover, there were still cars coming in behind him. The small town was surrounded by an alloy net and firmly fixed by a huge iron stake. With this kind of thing, the mutant beasts inside could not come out at all. However, they could still hear the roars coming from inside the town. There are many mutant beasts inside, ranging from F to D class. There might also be a C class. After you kill a mutant beast, remember to cut off its ear or other prominent parts as trophies. F-class beasts are 1 point, E-class beasts are 10 points, D-class beasts are 100 points, and C-class beasts are 1,000 points. It all depends on how many points you get. The more points you get, the higher your chances of entering. I know you're all on a team, so don't drag your warlord teammates down. At this time, a warrior asked, "Why are there C-class mutant beasts? Aren't we just sending ourselves to death if we fight against C-class beasts? The town is so big. Why do you have to find C-class beasts? This is to train your survival skills. If you can't even survive in a small C-class town, entering the county will also be sending you to death. You might as well give up." The student did not dare to speak, but he did not give up either. If anyone wants to quit, hurry up and leave now. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave later. No one was willing to quit. Warriors all had a proud heart. No one was willing to bow down to others. As time ticked by, some people recognized Lin Jun as they queued up. However, Lin Jun did not see any admiration or respect in the eyes of these warriors. Instead, he saw more provocation and disdain. Lin Jun knew very well why. His physique had improved by 99%, but it did not prove his combat ability. At most, it would shorten his training time by a lot. These warriors were different from the students in the base city. They had more or less hunted monsters in the wild many times. The only way to convince them was to show outstanding strength in the wild. Otherwise, a 100% improvement would only prove that one was lucky. Moreover, Lin Jun was only at the early stage of level 8. Most of the warriors who were active in the wild were at level 9. Level 8 warriors were a minority. It could be said that there was not a single student in the dojo because they were not strong yet. Lin Jun might be one of the few students who had left the base city. Faced with these people's provocative gazes, Lin Jun did not care at all. The battle in the town would prove everything. Soon, there were 60 or 70 people in the line. It was time to open the town. Those who had not yet arrived could only wait for the next batch to enter in a day. Chapter 38. Everyone entered the town in an orderly manner. The entrance was a street in the town. There were no monsters nearby, so the soldiers could observe the terrain and interact with each other. Li Mengshi and Ruoruo were obviously more popular. Women were rare among the soldiers, not to mention 2 beautiful women. Many people surrounded them and asked about their well-being. Ruoruo glanced at Lin Jun proudly and said, "Lin Jun, it's not too late to regret it. Mengshi is very popular. If you don't want her, there will be a lot of people lining up to pursue her." Li Mengshi gently pinched Ruoruo. "What are you talking about? I'm a commodity. Do you think anyone can have me just because they want me?" Yes. You're a beautiful musketeer. They can't take advantage of you." Hearing the conversation between the 2 women, a warrior finally started to make things difficult for Lin Jun. A 9th-level warrior who looked like a turkey walked over. "Lin Jun, I know you. You've been in the limelight recently. However, your 99% optimization is nothing. The weakest person here is in the middle or late 8th level. Your strength has no advantage here." Another strong man also said, "Don't think you're so great just because you defeated Zhang Huai. Zhang Huai used to hang out with us. He only broke through to the warlord level a few days ago. Even if he broke through to the warlord level, half of the people here can defeat him. I'll watch your video. In fact, you didn't win in the end." That's right. You can only fool those students who haven't seen the world. These are all veterans. They fought in more battles than you've heard of. Zhang Huai had a sure kill attack, but unfortunately, it was ruined by Du Yanhu. Otherwise, that battle would have ended with both sides suffering. Some people can fight to the death with others, but they easily piss their pants when they encounter monsters. You've just left the base city and entered the wilderness. You'd better keep a low profile. Li Mengshi and the others are not people you can associate with. You'd better know your place. Some of the surrounding martial artists who had designs on Li Mengshi began to attack Lin Jun. Li Mingxi finally couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to speak up. Ruo, who was beside her, pulled her aside. Don't worry about it. Someone like him who doesn't know what's good for him should be taught a lesson. Once he realizes the cruelty of the wilderness, he'll know how to keep a low profile. This is for his sake. Don't tell me you're soft-hearted and want something to happen between you and him again. I didn't. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Li Mengxi was a little embarrassed, so she stopped talking. Lin Jun looked at the martial artists around him and sneered. Killing monsters is all about fighting. You people have been in the wilderness for a long time. Do you only know how to talk big here? F***CK. You brat, you're so arrogant. All right, today, I'll show you what a monster harvester is and make you accept me wholeheartedly. I've seen a lot of people who talk big, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. We'll meet in a day. Let's see if your kill count can reach half of mine. But you better live past the day. I suggest that you hide in a dumpster somewhere. Don't end up as a monster's poop. Wu looked at Lin Jun, who was surrounded and attacked, and said to Li Mengxi, Mengxi, do you see that? Thank goodness you rejected this person. He won't be a successful martial artist. If it were me, I'd dump him too. He's actually a good person. It's just that he's not suitable for me. Li Mengxi looked at Lin Jun with a hint of struggle in her eyes. It wasn't that she was heartless towards Lin Jun. It was just that she knew what she wanted and what was suitable for her. She knew very well that she could only become a martial artist by relying on firearms. She wouldn't be able to achieve much. She knew that life was tough, so she had long since decided to find someone strong enough to rely on. Obviously, Lin Jun didn't meet her standards. Okay. It seems like you're a little tempted. Let's go. We'll find a vantage point first. That way, we can maximize the advantage of our firearms. This time, we're gambling with the demon hunters. We have to give the captain and the others a good surprise. Okay, let's go. Li Mingxi looked back at Lin Jun and sighed in her heart. In the end, she didn't say anything. Seeing that their goddess had left, the martial artists didn't continue to surround Lin Jun. Time was limited, so they had to kill as many monsters as possible. Lin Jun also took out the black dragon spear. He walked along a small path and began to slowly head towards the town. After thousands of years, the town was already in ruins. Many houses had collapsed, forming a ruin. Waves of beast roars came from the ruins. It was like a demon's domain. After walking along the edge of the town for a while, Lin Jun didn't rush into the town. Instead, he stopped at the buffer zone between the town and the quarantine zone. Lin Jun came to the ruins of a collapsed house. He found a big rock and sat down. He took down the backpack behind him and took out a lot of things. Small alloy chisel. It can break the outer surface of meteorites. Alloy scraper. It can remove the stone chips on the surface of dark energy stones. Stone powder and dissolving agent. Combined with the breathing technique, it can absorb dark energy stones into the body and strengthen the body. Everyone in the galaxy knows this method. It's especially used for martial artists below the star realm. However, no one in this era knows this method. If it weren't for the fact that meteorites are prohibited from being traded, I would be able to reach the peak of the warrior realm very quickly and make a breakthrough. If there's a chance, I have to go to the black market. Maybe I could buy some good stuff. After putting away these things, Lin Jun didn't rush into the town. Instead, he used the breathing technique to warm himself up. After about 20 minutes, he felt that he was in his best condition. He stopped warming up and took out his phone to take a look. Because he received a message on his phone, he only had time to take a look now. The person who tagged Lin Jun was Zhao Yang. He asked about Lin Jun's situation with concern. Lin Jun replied to Zhao Yang that he was fine and would act soon. Then, he looked at the forum. He opened it and saw that there was a post on the forum. You came to the town, but didn't dare to enter. You're panting at the edge of the town. The so-called genius is a coward. The person who posted this was the person who had entered the small town this time. His name was Lan Xian, and he was the warrior who had attacked Lin Jun at the beginning. He was dressed like a turkey. There were a few screenshots in the post. In the video, Lin Jun had been staying in the same place, fiddling with something, and he was panting rapidly. There were a lot of comments in the post. I can understand. When I was fighting with the monster, I also struggled. Lin Jun, you can do it. I believe you will rise. Understand my ass. Lin Jun is a famous person. I'm disappointed that he's such a coward. From now on, Lin Jun is trash. Since ancient times, the second floor produces idiots. It's true. The flowers in the greenhouse can't withstand the wind and waves. If a martial artist wants to become a true martial artist, their mentality is a big problem. Lin Jun, look at my and Mengxi's spoils. Do you think you can compare? This was Ruo's message. She even posted a screenshot. She and Li Mengxi had used a rope to string up a bunch of monster ears. There were about 20 of them, and this was their harvest in half an hour. Lin Jun was quite happy when he saw Li Mengxi. However, he hated Ruo. Lin Jun didn't like this person. Although he didn't like her, Lin Jun didn't need to compete with a little girl like her. Lifting the black dragon spear, Lin Jun walked towards the town. I've been practicing my spear and telekinesis these days. Now, it's time to test the results. Wait, I remember who this Ruo is. Chapter 39. This Ruo was the woman who had obtained the meteorite. She was a level 9 warrior. She had just reached the threshold of breaking through to a warlord after getting that piece of dark energy stone. She didn't have enough strength at first, but she accidentally absorbed the energy in the dark energy stone and successfully broke through, becoming a very rare female warlord. Lin Jun stood for a while with the gun in his hand. He quickly made up his mind. He had to get this meteorite no matter what. Lin Jun's goal in this life was very high. Not only did he want to practice quickly, but he also wanted to be the strongest at every step. He knew the opportunities of many people. Although it was impossible for him to take the initiative to take everything from everyone, he would not let go of the opportunity in front of him. As for Ruo, Lin Jun did not care about her at all. He did not stop walking as he planned his heart. He walked into the town with a black dragon spear. Waves of beast roars came from inside. As soon as he walked into the edge of the town, Lin Jun saw a mutant beast. It was the size of a millstone. Its skin was dark green, and its body was full of bumps and pustules. Its long tongue wrapped around a human arm and was swallowing it. When it saw Lin Jun, it immediately swallowed the arm. It looked at Lin Jun with a fierce look in its small eyes. Mutant Toad, a level F mutant beast. It can attack with its tongue. Its body is poisonous. There is no obvious weakness on the surface of its body. Its weakness is its abdomen. Lin Jun had not seen a mutant beast on Earth for a long time. Now that he saw this toad, he could still recall the characteristics of these mutant beasts. Crow! The mutant toad cried and pounced on Lin Jun. It spread its limbs and opened its huge mouth. Before its body reached Lin Jun, a 2-meter-long tongue rolled toward him. Although the toad was level F, it was considered difficult to deal with. Under the protection of its long tongue, it was difficult for martial artists to attack its abdomen. In particular, its ugly and ferocious appearance and the poison all over its body made many fledgling students fall at the hands of this mutant beast. However, this level of mutant beast was too easy for Lin Jun. Because he had spiritual force, he used his telekinesis, and a flying knife flew out from his waist. A cold light flashed like lightning, and the toad's red tongue was cut off. Gwa! The toad cried out in pain. Before it even landed on the ground, Lin Jun had already arrived at its landing spot. The tip of the black dragon spear in his hand fiercely slashed across its soft abdomen. Pooh! From the beginning to the end, the internal organs inside fell out. Lin Jun had already dodged, so he wasn't contaminated at all. It's an F-class mutated beast. Its body hasn't crystallized, so it's not worth much. He put away the toad's tongue. The toad had no ears, so its tongue was his trophy. After dealing with the toad, Lin Jun continued forward. After walking for another 100 meters or so, a series of goo-goo sounds came from the front. After turning a corner, a group of mutant beasts appeared in front of them. The one at the front was about as tall as a person. It had thick legs, a fiery red crown on its head, and a sharp beak that seemed to be cast from steel. After seeing Lin Jun, it immediately stopped. Behind it were about 10 shorter mutant beasts. They weren't as strong, but they weren't small either. Mutant roosters and hens. They live in groups. Their beaks and claws are very hard and powerful. They can fly short distances and sprint very fast. Their weaknesses are their necks and heads, but their vitality is relatively strong. These chickens were originally food on the table, but after God Change Day, all beasts mutated, and they were no exception. On God Change Day, all the people who raised chickens suffered. After seeing Lin Jun, the rooster crowed loudly. The sound was loud and clear, and the surrounding hens seemed to have received an order and rushed over from all directions. The black dragon spear in his hand retracted and shot out. Sparks of cold light appeared in the air, and 5 or 6 hens in front of him fell to the ground. A bloody hole appeared on each of their heads. 9 heavy spear rivers, second layer, torrential rain. When used, it's like rain hitting a banana. It focuses on speed. Although I haven't mastered torrential rain yet, dealing with these F-class mutant beasts is a piece of cake. His body rushed forward, and the black dragon spear attacked several times in succession, killing the remaining hens. The big rooster flapped its wings and rushed towards Lin Jun. Its beak was like a bird in the air, and it pecked at Lin Jun. Lin Jun relied on his outstanding reflexes to dodge. Before the rooster could land, Lin Jun's throwing knife arrived and pierced through its head. The rooster fell to the ground and was still desperately struggling. Lin Jun walked over and finished it off with 2 more shots. Lin Jun took out the blood from the rooster's heart and drank it. Then, he collected the combs of all the chickens. These F-class mutant beasts really don't pose much of a threat to me. If I pass by and see them, I'll just kill them. There's no need to look for them. After all, each F-class mutant beast is only worth 1 point. It's faster to kill a high-level mutant beast. After killing the flock of chickens, Lin Jun hadn't walked far when he heard the sound of fighting in front of him. Lin Jun quickly walked 2 steps forward and saw a level 9 warrior fighting with a flock of mutant pigs. The mutant pigs were no longer round and docile like before. Each one of them was almost as tall as a person. The fur on their body was standing on end, and their long fangs were exposed from their mouths. Their eyes emitted an ominous glint. They had become real beasts. The mutant pigs were E-class monsters with thick skin and flesh. They didn't have any obvious weaknesses, so they could only be killed with lightning speed. However, this warrior's weapon was only a short sword. It was obvious that he was walking the path of agility. His killing power against the mutant pigs was limited, and he was bitterly holding on. Lin Jun didn't immediately go over to help. There were 8 mutant pigs, and they weren't easy to deal with. He wasn't the kind of person who would help when he saw trouble. When the warrior saw Lin Jun, his eyes lit up, but then they dimmed. Damn, I thought a savior had come. I didn't expect a piece of trash to come. You finally have the courage to enter the town? You actually didn't run when you saw these mutant pigs? Lin Jun climbed up a broken wall. The mutant pigs couldn't climb up here. He sat down and laughed. If you have the time to mock others, why don't you think about how to save your own life? Why should I run? After you are eaten by these mutant pigs, your short sword will belong to me. It looks pretty good. I can probably sell it for a few $100,000. The level 9 warrior didn't expect Lin Jun to be so shameless. He originally wanted to provoke Lin Jun and make him come over to help. However, he didn't expect that Lin Jun wouldn't be moved at all. He was even waiting here to watch him die. After using all his strength to slash down, he finally killed a small pig. However, he was scraped by a large pig. Being hit by such a large monster was similar to being hit by a car. The warrior's movements were a bit inconvenient. Finally, he couldn't help but ask, Lin Jun, what do I have to do to make you willing to help? As long as you help me lure 3 mutant pigs away, I can kill these things one by one. Name your price. I don't care. These kind of gregarious E-class mutant beasts are even scarier than D-class mutant beasts. You actually dared to provoke them without thinking. You deserve to die. Damn, I'm crazy to provoke these gregarious E-class mutant beasts. Wasn't it because there was a meteorite crater in that house? I wanted to go take a look. I didn't expect there to be such a group of things in that house. The warrior casually pointed. Meteorite crater? Lin Jun was stunned for a moment. He looked in the direction the warrior pointed. Sure enough, he saw a hole in the roof of the house. However, there was a broken wall covering the hole. If it wasn't for Lin Jun's position, he really wouldn't have been able to see this meteorite crater. Lin Jun's heart suddenly felt a burst of excitement. He didn't expect to find the meteorite crater so quickly. Chapter 40. The price you offered is not bad. I will help you kill a pig. Whether you can survive or not is up to you. Lin Jun did not completely stand by and watch. He jumped down from the wall and shook the black dragon spear in his hand. Gale! The soldier only felt a gust of wind whistling beside him. Lin Jun's figure flashed by, and the black dragon spear in his hand pierced through the head of the biggest pig. After the mutant pig was seriously injured, its vitality was not even comparable to a chicken. After its head was pierced, it fell to the ground, twitched a few times, and died. Lin Jun took out a knife and quickly cut off the pig's ear. Then he ran away. I will give you the pork. No need to thank me. Lin Jun's idea was very clear. He only killed the biggest pig. The soldier would still have to fight hard and would not have the strength to compete with him for the meteorite. This was the best way for him. The pig surrounded the soldier with bloodshot eyes. He had no chance to escape, so Lin Jun could easily kill the biggest pig and escape. Lin Jun quickly turned 2 corners and went straight to the collapsed house. Lin Jun knew a lot about meteorites. In this meteor shower, countless meteorites hit the Earth. The military and base city could only collect a small amount. Most of the meteorites were still in the wild. However, not all meteorites were useful. 90% of meteorites were useless. Only about 10% contained treasures. The dark energy stone was the most useful one. In fact, the dark energy stone was the interstellar currency. The energy emitted by the dark energy stone could attract creatures. These mutant pigs were probably attracted by the dark energy stone. Therefore, Lin Jun judged that if there were meteorites in this crater, the chances of them being dark energy stones were the highest. Although the house had collapsed, it had become a pig's nest. The mutant pigs came and went, creating a passage in the house. Lin Jun walked in without much effort. He walked to the center of the ruins and found a big hole in the ground. There was a large hole in the roof with a diameter of 2 meters. The hole in the ground was also about 2 meters in diameter. 2 meters in diameter. According to the ratio of 10:1, this meteorite should be about 20 centimeters in diameter. I'll dig it out now to see. Lin Jun's black dragon spear immediately became a tool for digging. A few large stones were lifted up and thrown out. Martial artists had great strength, and they quickly cleared out the debris, revealing the black stones at the bottom of the pit. There really is. Even the military of this town has been here, but they didn't find this meteorite. My luck is pretty good. Lin Jun moved the meteorite out of the crater. Sure enough, as he expected, it was the size of a basketball and had a shiny black surface. It looked different from the stones on Earth. Lin Jun immediately took out an alloy chisel and hammer and began to work swiftly. Ka-ka-ka! Stone chips flew everywhere, and large chunks of stone fell to the ground. Lin Jun's strength was great. This was a difficult task for an ordinary person, but for a martial artist, it was nothing. 5 minutes later, a black stone about the size of a pigeon's egg appeared in Lin Jun's hand. Sure enough, surprises are not so easy to get. Although it is a dark energy stone, it is too small. If I absorb this dark energy, I can increase my strength by about 20 kilograms. My agility and reflexes will also improve accordingly. But it's fine. My main goal is to collect the largest dark energy stone and use it when I am promoted to a warlord. This can break a person's physiological limit. When I reach the peak of a warrior, my strength will break through the limit of 1,000 kilograms. As for these smaller ones, I can absorb them in time. Lin Jun sat there, took out the petrifying powder and dissolving agent, and smeared them on the surface of the meteorite. He then held it with both hands and absorbed it on the spot. 80% to 90% of the composition of the universe was made up of dark matter. It could be said that dark matter was everywhere and was the core component of the universe. Dark energy was the activity of dark matter. It was concentrated in dark energy. The stone in Lin Jun's hand was considered small, but it could increase his strength by 20 kilograms in one go. For an ordinary martial artist, it was simply a dream. under the effect of the petrifying powder and dissolving agent. This dark energy stone gradually melted. Traces of black energy seeped into Lin Jun's palm and integrated into his blood and bones. Traces of dark energy wandered in Lin Jun's body. It disappeared as it advanced. Wherever it disappeared, his body's functions would be strengthened a little. The familiar feeling from his previous life came to Lin Jun. He felt that every cell in his body was cheering. A minute later, the dark energy stone completely melted and Lin Jun opened his eyes. Phew, it's really effective. I can feel that my strength has increased. My previous strength was about 800 kilograms. Now it has increased to about 830 kilograms. With a few more dark energy stones, I will be promoted to a level 9 warrior. It is said that the dark energy stone in Elon County is the size of a football. Ruruo's original strength was only at the level of a male level 6 to level 7 warrior, but she became a warlord. I must get that stone no matter what. Lin Jun finished absorbing the dark energy stone and slowly stood up. Suddenly, he felt his heart palpitate. Gunman. He glanced at the roof opposite him. The muzzle of the gun had begun to flash red. That was the scene when a bullet was about to be fired. The moment his mind realized the danger, Lin Jun's body had already reacted. His body leaned back abruptly, and a gunshot rang out. Dang, 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 dang. A string of flames hit the surrounding stones, and smoke rose from the place where Lin Jun had just stood. Leaning against the wall, Lin Jun jumped up again. The flames brushed past his feet. Lin Jun kicked off the wall in the air. His body was like a leopard cat, and he flew forward close to the ceiling. The metal storm behind him followed, and a series of flames appeared behind Lin Jun. Gravel and smoke flew everywhere. But that was it. As Lin Jun fell into another corner of the room, which was a blind spot, the torrent of bullets finally stopped. The room was filled with smoke and dust, and it was almost impossible to see anyone. The dust choked people and made it difficult to open their eyes. The gunmen outside also lost their target. On the roof opposite, a big man looked at the abandoned house in disbelief. How is this possible? I didn't hit him. My 6-cylinder metal storm can pour out 120 bullets in 2 seconds, and I didn't hit him. The big man was tall and strong, and his body was covered with yellow bullet chains. He held a huge 6-cylinder rotary machine gun in his hand. The metal storm, the latest product of the Ministry of Science and Technology, was still rotating slowly. The black barrel was still smoking. He stared at the place where Lin Jun had disappeared. Trash. On the ground. His phone was still lit up. He was in the middle of a video call. In the video call, Ruruo's face was cold. Wang Yuan, what else can you do? You can't even kill a level 8 warrior. How dare you call yourself the violent gun king? Ruruo, give me another chance. I will definitely kill this Lin Jun. I can't trust you anymore. I will find someone else, but I have to remind you that you didn't kill Lin Jun. You have exposed your location. Be careful not to be killed by Lin Jun. Delete our call records immediately. I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Ruruo hung up the video call, and the screen went black. Wang Yuan was stunned for a moment. Recalling Lin Jun's abnormal reaction just now, he immediately realized that this person was not as weak as the rumors said. He hurriedly packed up his things and left the house. Less than 30 seconds after he left, Lin Jun climbed up from the side of the house. Lin Jun picked up the still-hot bullet shell on the ground and sneered. You ran away. But you can run away, but you can't hide from me. In this town, there are less than 3 people who can use this metal storm. Let's see where you can run to. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Chapter 41. Lin Jun did not continue to track the person who attacked him. Time was tight, and he felt that the captain's results might not be ideal. If he held back again, the Demon Hunter Squad would really not be qualified to enter Elon County. Picking up the Black Dragon Spear, Lin Jun began to hunt around. With my strength now, it's not too difficult to kill F-class and E-class monsters, but D-class monsters are very difficult, unless they are strong in attack and weak in defense. If I use my spiritual power to control the flying knife, I may be able to do an instant kill. In addition to large animals such as cattle and horses, The most common D-class monsters are poisonous snakes. The main attack method of poisonous snakes after mutation is an addition to fangs and entanglement, but their relative movement speed is relatively slow and their defense is poor. Lin Jun set the target on poisonous snakes. Snakes like to live in dark places. Moist places with weeds are possible. Judging from the landscape of the entire town, maybe the northeast area is the most suitable for snakes to live. Setting the goal, Lin Jun began to move toward the northeast. Along the way, Lin Jun had killed 2 mutant pigs, 1 mutant cat, and more than 10 rank F beasts. He put the cut-off ears and other things everywhere at will, and gradually came to the northeast of the town. The northeast was the most affected area. There were scattered craters everywhere, and the place was riddled with holes. There was almost no room to stand on. The ruins were overgrown with weeds. Lin Jun just approached here and saw several corpses. These corpses on the ground were the soldiers from outside. They seemed to have died not long ago. Each corpse was blue and black. Apparently, they were poisoned to death. One of the corpses was also entangled by a 7-meter-long snake. The big snake's mouth was wide open, and it was swallowing the corpse into its stomach. Only 2 legs were left outside. I guess it's right. If there are snake-type mutant beasts in the town, then this is their gathering place. This is the snake's nest. When the big snake swallows its prey, it is the most vulnerable. Lin Jun shot and stabbed the big snake's head. The tip of the spear stirred, and the big snake's head was smashed. The serpent was killed by Lin Jun halfway through its meal. This kind of poisonous snake is a D-class mutated beast. It can be said to be the most ferocious among the D-class. At the same time, it is also the weakest. As long as you can find its weakness, it is not difficult to kill it. If I were a normal warrior, I wouldn't dare to come to this snake nest. However, my black dragon spear has the advantage of being a long weapon. It can be said that it is the best weapon for hunting snakes. Even if I encounter a more troublesome snake, I still have my throwing knives and outstanding reflexes. These are all advantages that other warriors don't have. Lin Jun jumped into the ruins. His spiritual force was released, and his 5 senses were extremely sensitive. After the snake mutation, its body size has increased a lot, and it has lost its concealment. It is almost impossible to sneak attack Lin Jun. Lin Jun shook the black dragon spear in his hand, causing the spearhead to tremble chaotically. Inside the ruins, Lin Jun brandished the great spear, causing dust to fly everywhere, stirring up a huge momentum. A gust of wind was used, and a patch of weeds seemed to be pressed down by something. It uniformly fell back, revealing many of the serpents hiding in the grass. These ferocious serpents felt provoked and began to swim out of their hiding places. They meandered towards Lin Jun and surrounded him. Come on, come on. I beat the grass to scare the snake so that you guys can come out. Every D-class monster is worth 100 points. It can be said that this is the most efficient place to farm points. A serpent took the lead to arrive in front of Lin Jun. Its bucket-like body was raised high, standing a height of 2 meters. After the mutation, its strong muscles were enough to support such a movement. It opened its bloody mouth and bit down at Lin Jun from above. Before its mouth even got close, the fishy smell had already hit him in the face. Hit it for me. Lin Jun shook his hand, and the black dragon spear in his hand pierced out like lightning. The serpent's movement was not slow, and it made a dodge in midair. Lin Jun was now using the second style of the 9 heavy spear river, torrential rain. Although Lin Jun had not yet comprehended the concept of torrential rain, if it could be easily dodged by a serpent, then there was no need for him to practice it. The spear tip trembled, turned in the air, and stabbed into the serpent's mouth. Pooh! The spear entered the mouth and pierced out from the back of the head. Lin Jun's arm exerted strength, and the serpent's brain turned into a paste. Its huge body fell from the air. The spear tip pulled back, and the serpent's red tongue was cut off, and he casually threw it into the backpack behind him. 100 points in hand. Killing a serpent is comparable to my harvest in this town for so long. After killing the first serpent, Lin Jun looked left and right. There were already nearly 10 serpents surrounding him. Good. These serpents are just right for me to practice torrential rain. I don't need to reach great success in one go, but at the very least, I need to reach small success in my spear technique and have the initial power of torrential rain. Lin Jun brandished his spear and killed his way into the group of serpents. The biggest threat of these serpents was their sudden attack. Their speed was comparable to a bullet fired from a gun, and they were a great threat to warriors with a reaction time of 0.01 or above. However, Lin Jun was abnormal, and his reaction time had already reached the warlord stage. It was very difficult for these serpents to kill him in one hit. If the serpents wanted to use entanglement to strangle Lin Jun, they would be repelled by Lin Jun's storm-like attacks, and they would even be killed. Even if there were occasional dangers, Lin Jun's throwing knives would be timely, saving him from danger. Under Lin Jun's deliberate control, his understanding of the spear technique improved rapidly. After all, he had studied the spear technique for a long time in his previous life. This time, his speed was naturally unmatched by ordinary people. Although the speed at which he killed the serpents was not too fast, a Class D mutant beast fell under his spear in about 10 minutes. This speed was already beyond the reach of other warriors. Gradually, Lin Jun went deep into the ruins. The corpses of serpents lay behind him, and his backpack was already filled with dozens of snake tongues. Swish, 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 swish. With a flash of strong light, a serpent that had just appeared did not even have the chance to fight back. Its head was pierced like a sieve by the raindrops, and it softly fell to the ground and died. This is the feeling. This is the feeling. For a moment just now, I seem to have grasped a little of the concept of torrential rain. As long as I can grasp this feeling, I will have reached small success in the second stage of the 9-layered spear river. The second stage of small success is enough to fight against a warrior at the beginning stage of the warlord stage. Under the circumstances where I can't easily expose my mental power, this is the foundation for me to fight against someone of a higher level. After his rebirth, Lin Jun's understanding of combat seemed to be much higher than in his previous life. The high proportion of genetic potions and the absorption of dark energy stones were all subtly transforming him. Lin Jun did not even have time to deal with the snake's tongue. He sat on the ground and recalled the enlightenment he had just gained. The first two stages of the 9-layered spear river pursue a swift and fierce blow to the opponent. The most important thing is not to retreat. Once you retreat, the wind will disappear and the rainstorm will disappear without a trace. The momentum will be gone and the power will naturally be gone. When I faced these serpents, I was still afraid. I was afraid of their poisonous fangs and death entanglement. These things can certainly kill people, but in the end, I still did not believe in myself. As long as I believe in myself, the torrential rain will come. How can a mere mutated venomous serpent have a chance to hurt me? Man is like a spear, and the spear is like a storm. This is the most important thing. I have already been reborn once, and this life was obtained in vain. If I continue to be so timid, then this rebirth would have been in vain. A few minutes later, Lin Jun opened his eyes and lifted the black dragon spear. He saw another serpent in front of him running toward him. Die for me. Lin Jun exerted force on his feet and leaped forward like a cannonball. An afterimage was drawn behind him. He raised the spear in his hand and charged forward. The wind blew and the rainstorm came. A figure flashed past, and the serpent fell to the ground, riddled with holes. It did not even have time to react. Chapter 42. The moment he put down the gun, Lin Jun's heart had a rare excitement. In his previous life, he only completed the first layer of the 9 heavy spear river. The second layer was because he did not have a secret book, and he was afraid of the slightest thing in his previous life. He simply did not consider the indomitable fighting style. In this life, the fear in his heart has disappeared, and he really comprehended the initial concept of the rainstorm. Putting away the snake, Lin Jun did not know how many snakes he had killed. Looking at the time, 10 hours had passed. Sure enough, I don't know how much time has passed. There are less than 2 hours before we leave the town. In this last time, I want to explore this place and try to kill as many snakes as possible to ensure that our team can smoothly enter Elan County. Carrying the black dragon spear, along the way, he used the method of beating the grass to scare the snake and attracted the hidden snakes. As long as a snake appeared, Lin Jun would immediately kill it with a thunderous force, and he did not even need to use his throwing knives. Even so, the snakes that appeared were getting fewer and fewer. In front of him, there was a 2-story building, which was the only surviving building in this ruin. Walking near the small building, Lin Jun felt a fishy smell. This should be the snake cave. I don't know how many snakes and insects are inside. After cleaning up here, I should go out. After thousands of years of wind and frost, the door was almost rotten. Lin Jun kicked the remaining plank away. It stinks. A stench came to his face, and Lin Jun almost vomited. He almost turned around and left here. No, although it stinks here, it seems that no one has been here before. Those military people may not have searched every inch of the land. What if there's a meteorite here? Lin Jun carefully walked into the small building. Looking around, he found that there was no obvious damage to the roof or the walls, and he was a little disappointed. Is there no meteorite attack here? But why would snakes and insects make a nest here? After looking around, he did not even find a trace of snakes and insects. Lin Jun was puzzled. He moved some garbage and prepared to look at the basement of this small building. Hiss! A venomous gray snake suddenly darted out from a basement door, its flat head viciously biting towards Lin Jun. So, Lin Jun shook the spear in his hand and nailed the snake to the wall. He then pulled and twisted, killing it. Lin Jun understood when he cut out the tongue. So the snakeworm's nest is in the basement. That makes things easier. Resisting the strong stench in the basement, Lin Jun first ignited some weeds, then ignited 2 wooden planks and threw them into the basement. Thick smoke billowed, covering the stench, and at the same time, causing the snakes and insects in the basement to explode. One by one, the poisonous snakes rushed out of the basement. Their huge triangular heads made people tremble in fear. Lin Jun stood guard at the entrance of the basement. His spear was as fast as lightning. He did not retreat an inch and killed the poisonous snakes one by one. A spear shadow flashed by, and the poisonous snake roared as it tumbled down. Blood splashed all over Lin Jun's clothes, but he didn't feel it at all. This process lasted for 10 minutes before the basement finally calmed down. Lin Jun felt that his arm was trembling a little. During this process, he killed 20 or 30 huge poisonous snakes. Is it cleaned up? How did the smoke disappear so quickly? I should go down and take a look. Holding the spear and the throwing knife ready at any time, Lin Jun carefully walked into the basement. After entering the basement, Lin Jun's eyes lit up. No wonder the smoke disappeared so quickly. It turned out that there was a slanted hole above the basement, nearly 3 meters in diameter. And in the basement, there was a huge, deep pit. In the deep pit, a huge poisonous snake of unknown length was entrenched in it. It was constantly spitting its tongue at Lin Jun. Crater. There really is a crater here. To be able to become the snakeworm's nest, there is no doubt that this is still a piece of dark energy stone. Otherwise, this snake would not have grown so big. This poisonous snake has been transformed by dark energy. It is now a C-class mutant beast, but the military is not sure if there's a C-class here. It seems that no one has been here before. Generally, even warlords would not dare to provoke a C-class mutant beast, let alone a warrior class. They would need several people to work together to kill them to ensure their safety. Lin Jun could not find anyone to work with at the moment, so he could only go alone. If it was another C-class, Lin Jun would definitely be defeated, but he was not afraid of snake-type mutant beasts. The big snake was entrenched in the deep pit, constantly spitting its tongue at Lin Jun. It raised its head and made an attacking posture, warning Lin Jun not to get close. However, it did not take the initiative to leave the deep pit. Obviously, it was reluctant to leave the things in the deep pit. Lin Jun ignored its warning, lit the wooden board again, and threw it into the deep pit. The big snake hissed, bit the wooden board, and threw it out directly. Oh, It's going to become a demon. I don't believe that I can't deal with you. Lin Jun moved again. This time, he was going to set a big fire. Lin Jun gathered all the hay and wood that he could collect from the surroundings and lit a raging fire in the basement. The big snake finally could not stay in the big pit anymore. It suddenly jumped out and bit at Lin Jun. Lin Jun had been waiting for this moment. With a move of his spiritual power, 3 throwing knives flew out, stabbing the eyes and 7 inches of the big snake. This big snake was obviously much faster than other snakes. Its head swayed, and Lin Jun's 3 throwing knives did not hit the vital parts. They only took away a few scales and some flesh of the big snake. Lin Jun became one with his spear. He rushed over like a cannonball, facing the big snake's bloody mouth with the fastest and fiercest attack. The spear pierced into the snake's mouth, and the huge impact caused the snake's head to tilt backwards. Lin Jun used all of his strength to hold the spear with both hands, exerting strength in both arms, and slammed it down from above. "Stay here for me." The long spear nailed the big snake's head to the ground, and the tip of the spear was half a meter into the ground. If it was an ordinary snake, it would have died at this time. However, this big snake's vitality was abnormally strong. Its long body wriggled out of the big pit, and Lin Jun was sucked into it. A huge strangling force came from all directions, and Lin Jun's bones were groaning at this moment. Oh no, this beast has absorbed dark energy, and its vitality is much higher than its kind. I still underestimated a C-grade, mutated beast. Breathing became difficult, and Lin Jun's 4 limbs could not move. This big snake was already more than 10 meters long, and it wrapped Lin Jun like a rice dumpling. Although its head was nailed, it still wanted to strangle Lin Jun before it died. No, I definitely can't die here. I must kill it before it suffocates. Although I can't move my hands and feet, I still have my spiritual power. With the activation of his telekinesis, the 3 throwing knives that had fallen to the ground flew up again, and with a cold light, they stabbed towards the big snake's eyes and 7 inches of vital parts. Pu. Unable to move, the big snake could no longer dodge. Its eyes were immediately blinded, and its 7 inches of vital parts were also ruthlessly stabbed by Lin Jun. However, the big snake did not die immediately. Its body was still shrinking and tightening. I can't breathe. The air in my chest is being squeezed out, and my ribs are going to break. My telekinesis again. The throwing knives rose again, and once again stabbed towards the big snake. This time, it entered through the top of its head. The 2 throwing knives in front ruthlessly stabbed into the big snake's head. This time, Lin Jun did not even plan to retract the throwing knives. After the throwing knives entered the flesh, he desperately urged his telekinesis to control everything. The big snake's head was cut open, and Lin Jun's 3rd throwing knife went straight in. Pooh! Blood and flesh splattered everywhere, and the big snake's strangling force instantly weakened. Lin Jun felt dizzy, and he knew that this was a sign of fainting. His telekinesis could not withstand such an intense squandering. However, he had no other choice. Once again, he mobilized his telekinesis, withdrew the throwing knife, and stabbed it in again. He did not know how many times he repeated this, and in the end, he relied entirely on his willpower to support himself. He persevered and did not let himself faint. The big snake's strangling force finally weakened. The last knife, Lin Jun fiercely bit his tongue. The pain cleared his mind a little. After the last knife, he felt a roar in his mind, and his body went limp at the same time. The big snake was dead, and it no longer had any strangling force. Lin Jun's limbs went limp as he lay on the big snake's corpse, unable to move at all. In inverse proportion to his body, the telekinesis in his mind had undergone the tempering between life and death. Unexpectedly, more than half of its aura had turned silver-colored. P.S. Happy New Year, everyone. Actually, before asking for votes, Hei-Tu did not think that he could make it to the 11th place, but he really did. Everyone is too awesome. However, only the top 10 can be considered to be on the list of signed new books. Can everyone give Hei-Tu a small New Year's gift? At the very least, he has to shorten the gap with the top. Good luck, everyone. Let's go. Chapter 43. When Lin Jun awakened his psychic power, he was at the later stage of bronze. After he took the gene medicine, his psychic power increased, but it was only at the early stage of silver, close to the peak of the early stage. After that, he continued to train his psychic power every day and reached the peak of the early stage. He was able to control 3 flying daggers. He made 5 flying daggers. If he wanted to control 4, the peak of the early stage was not enough. He needed to enter the middle stage. However, the training of psychic power was not that easy. It needed to be accumulated over time. If he wanted to improve quickly, he could only train in real life and death situations. This time, it was a real life and death situation, and it was psychic power that decided the outcome. Lin Jun's psychic power finally increased by leaps and bounds. If his spiritual force was previously at 33% silver level, then it was now at 55%. It had increased by more than 20%. He had officially entered the middle stage. If he continued to train for a while, he would reach the peak of the middle stage. After lying down for half an hour, Lin Jun let out a long breath. Thanks to the dark energy, Lin Jun's body was strengthened. Otherwise, the snake would have crushed his bones and Lin Jun would have escaped. Great! Although it was dangerous this time, it was a blessing in disguise. Not only did my psychic power advance to the middle stage of silver, but I also got this. Lin Jun turned over and pulled the snake's body out of the deep pit. He then took out a meteorite from the deep pit. The previous meteorite was the size of a basketball, but this one was bigger. Lin Jun took out a chisel and a scraper from the deep pit and dissected the meteorite on the spot. 10 minutes later, the meteorite revealed its true appearance. A dark energy stone that was a little smaller than an egg appeared in Lin Jun's hand. Good job. This dark energy stone is more than twice the size of the previous one. I can strengthen it again and take a big step forward on the road to level 8. Lin Jun took out the stone powder and dissolving potion and placed the meteorite in the palm of her hand. With her previous experience, she was able to absorb it more smoothly this time. After another 10 minutes, the dark energy stone was completely absorbed by Lin Jun. Moving his muscles and bones, Lin Jun stood up from the deep pit. Although I don't know the exact number, I can still roughly feel the extent of the increase. If the previous stone increased my strength by 20 kilograms, then this one increased my strength by 45 to 50 kilograms. My current strength should be between 870 and 880. I can't estimate the exact number, but I should be at the late stage of level 8. It only took me 12 hours to advance from the early stage of level 8 to the late stage. No one on Earth can match this speed. Lin Jun moved his arms and legs and began to dissect the large snake. Rank E and F mutated beasts were also valuable, but they weren't worth much. Besides, Lin Jun couldn't carry so many things. He could only dissect the snake as soon as possible and sell it for a good price. He dissected it with a flying knife and peeled off the snakeskin. This snakeskin was very tough and could be made into a bulletproof vest. He should be able to sell it for more than 1,000,000 yuan. Poisonous fangs and snake gallbladders were also available for purchase. Lin Jun took them off. The last and most important thing was that mutated beasts of rank C and above all had crystals in their brains. Lin Jun had stabbed the crystal so many times, but it hadn't been damaged. A pale pink crystal was taken out from a brain. This was an item used to make genetic medicine. It was useless to Lin Jun, but he could sell it to the Ministry of Science and Technology. He could also donate it to the dojo to increase the dojo's points. After putting these things away, he looked at the time again. There were less than 20 minutes left. Lin Jun left the small building. The town had become much quieter. The gunshots that could be heard at any time before had also disappeared. Most of the martial artists had already left. Following the path he took when he came, Lin Jun ran towards the town's entrance. Outside the town, almost all the martial artists had come out. This was because no one dared to wait until the last moment to come out. If they were intercepted by some ignorant monster on the way and ran out a few minutes late, their points would be invalidated. Then, they wouldn't even be able to find a way to cry. The four members of the Demon Hunter squad anxiously waited for Lin Jun. Zhao Yang looked at the time from time to time. Why hasn't Lin Jun come out yet? There are less than 10 minutes left. It's reasonable to say that with his strength, there shouldn't be any danger in the warrior area. Shirley was also a little anxious. I don't expect Lin Jun to get a lot of spoils of war now. As long as he can come out safely, that's enough. Yi Tianqing rubbed his two swords. Captain, if Lin Jun's harvest is also very little, then this time we might be in trouble. Have you seen the rules set by the military? If a squad can't get 30,000 points, then they can't go to Yilan. I just roughly estimated that the total harvest of the four of us is about 26,000 or 27,000. This means that Lin Jun needs at least 3,000 to 4,000 points for us to have any hope. Gao Yin fiercely held the handle of his sniper rifle. It's all because of Demon God's blade, gun, cannon, and a few others. A few of our C-class monsters were stolen by them. Otherwise, we would have directly accumulated 30,000 points and wouldn't have to be so worried. Demon God's two women have come out. Zhao Yang said. Over at the warrior area, Li Mengxi and Ruo walked out. The two women walked over to Demon God's side, and they chatted happily. Should we give Lin Jun a call? Let's not. Lin Jun hasn't come out at this time. I'm afraid he's in a battle. Calling him might distract him. If he still hasn't come out when the time is up, we'll apply to go in and look for him. Yi Tianqing curled his lips. I'm not going. If Lin Jun survives, then he's our teammate. If he doesn't come out, then I have no obligation to take care of children. It only proves that he's not suitable to be a warrior. As they were talking, Demon God's captain, Zhou Tai, walked over and sneered at them. What's wrong? Internal strife? Where's Lin Jun, the so-called genius of your squad? Didn't he increase his constitution by 99%? Why hasn't he come out yet? Hua Xiaofeng, who was holding a rifle, said from the side. Maybe he became the monster's poop. What a pity. I want to teach that kid how to use a rifle, but he didn't even give me a chance. Kong Shan, who was holding a rocket launcher, laughed. What kind of team has what kind of people? You guys are all trash, and the warriors in your squad aren't even worth mentioning. Saber, gun, and cannon burst into laughter, while the four demon hunters had ugly expressions on their faces. Behind blade, gun, and cannon, Li Mengxi's expression wasn't too good either. After all, Lin Jun was her childhood friend. The two of them could be said to be childhood sweethearts. Now that Lin Jun might have met with misfortune, she couldn't be happy. Ruo was whispering softly beside her. She had a smile on her face. No one knew what she was saying, but Li Mengxi seemed to be affected by it. Her expression gradually improved. At this time, someone from the military suddenly said, "The test will end in 5 minutes. Now, all teams line up and take out your spoils of war. We'll start calculating the points. Teams with more than 30,000 points are allowed to enter Yilan County. Teams with less than 30,000 points are allowed to return home." Chapter 44. All the teams gathered quickly. Many teams had already lost members. Some had 4 people left, while others had 3 or 2 people left. According to the military's rules, teams with less than 3 people were not allowed to enter. Therefore, some teams were eliminated. The military's people were quick, and the points were calculated quickly. Wolf Fong Team, 31,000 points, qualified to enter. Heaven's Gift Team, 26,500 points, eliminated. Peacock Team, 19,880 points, eliminated. After the teams finished calculating, they quickly came to the Demon God Team. A few people took out their spoils one by one. First was Zhou Tai. 355 F-grade spoils, 130 E-grade, 41 D-grade, and 1 C-grade. A total of 6,755 points. Next was Hua Xiaofeng. His points were 5,105. The two of them had more than 10,000 points. Next was Kong Shan. He had 5,560 points. The three of them added up to more than 17,000 points. In other words, as long as Li Mengxi and Ruo got more than 2,600 points, their team would be qualified to enter Yilan. Ruo came up first and took out her spoils. The points were calculated to be exactly 1,400 points. Mengxi, You should be able to get 1,200 points, right? Zhou Tai was a little nervous. He was afraid that Li Mengxi would not perform well and their team would be eliminated. I didn't calculate clearly. Let's see. Li Mengxi took out her spoils from each bag. The highest was D grade. In fact, the highest spoils from the warrior area were D grade. There was not a single C grade. Li Mengxi has a total of 1,220 points. The Demon God team has a total of 30,040 points, qualified to enter Elan. The military soldier quickly reported the number. That's great. Zhou Tai could not help but rush over to hug Li Mengxi. Li Mengxi shyly avoided. Ruo smiled and pulled Li Mengxi. Mengxi, the captain is so good to you. As a comrade, what can't you accept? Besides, this is what we all want to see. Don't you think so? Hua Xiaofeng and Kong Shan laughed and cheered. Everyone knew that Zhou Tai had been thinking about Li Mengxi for a long time, but Li Mengxi never agreed. Hug together. Hug. Be together. Everyone, including Ruo, followed suit. Zhou Tai shamelessly moved closer to Li Mengxi. Li Mengxi had no idea how to react and ended up being hugged by Zhou Tai. At this moment, Lin Zhan's figure flashed through Li Mengxi's mind. Speaking of liking, she felt that she liked Lin Zhan a little. Zhou Tai, on the other hand, didn't feel anything at all. But what could Lin Zhan give her? Compared to Zhou Tai, a fourth-rank warlord, there was no comparison at all. Forget it. Perhaps Lin Zhan had already died in the testing area. Li Mengxi closed her eyes slightly. Next, Demon Hunter team, come over and count your points. Following the soldier's summon, Shirley and the others walked up. The first one to take out his loot was Shirley, with a total of 4,300 points. Next was Zhao Yang with 3,900 points, followed by Gao Yin with even fewer points, only 2,400. The last one was Yi Tiancheng. His points were slightly higher as he had a total of 4,200 points for the combined loot attack. The total points of the four people were only 1,4,800. The soldier asked, "Are there only 4 people in your team? If that's the case, I'll announce that you're eliminated." Shirley wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Wait a minute, we still have one person who hasn't come out from the warrior area. Maybe he'll bring a lot of loot when he comes out." The soldier didn't make a sound. In fact, the Demon Hunter team was the last team, and there was still a minute before the end. He didn't mind waiting for another minute. At this time, Zhou Tai walked over with a beaming face, holding Li Mengxi's hand. "Ha! Demon Hunter, Shirley, stop struggling. Do you still remember our bet?" Shirley's face suddenly changed. He had bet a huge sum of 100 million with Demon God's people to save face. If he lost, not only would he not be able to enter Elan, but he would also have to pay 100 million for nothing. This was undoubtedly a fatal blow to the Demon Hunter team. That bet. Don't tell me you want to renege on the bet. Reneging on a bet between warriors means losing credibility. We have recorded videos of each other. If you dare to renege on the bet, I'll immediately post the video online. Not only will the Warrior Union not let you go, but there will also be no place for you demon hunters in Bingxing. Do you believe me? The Martial Artists Union was a regulatory organization for martial artists. It was formed by the major martial arts clubs, the military, and the base cities. It was responsible for managing the affairs between martial artists. It was like a law enforcement agency for martial artists, which was very powerful. We're not going to renege on the bet. We have to accept our loss. Shirley finally raised his head, but his heart was gloomy. He was afraid that the Demon Hunter team had no future. Zhou Tai laughed and held Li Mengxi's hand. "Mengxi, baby, we have 100 million now. As the captain, I can get 40 million. How about I buy you a Star of the Ocean necklace? The one that costs 10 million. I know you've liked that for a long time." Li Mengxi didn't know what to feel, but she still nodded. She knew what nodding meant. She was unwilling, but this was her own choice. Didn't she always want to live a rich life? She should be satisfied with what the man in front of her could give her. She could only comfort herself with this. Lin Zhan hasn't come out yet. Zhao Yang muttered unwillingly. Ruo smiled. Her smile was very charming, but the words she said were not so nice. "Lin Zhan, why are you still counting on him? He's just a flower in a greenhouse." "No, he's just a little grass." After entering the testing area, He found a place to hide and didn't dare to show his face. Now, he's being scolded on the internet. Those who used to worship him are saying that they were blind. I knew it. He's just a small student entering the wilderness for the first time. How can you expect him to perform well? But there are still people who are not convinced. Now, my words have been proven. You've slapped them in the face. Haha, today's weather is really good. I'm in a good mood too. Mengshi, are you in a good mood? Li Mengshi forced a smile and nodded. She couldn't be happy at all. Counting down, 10, 9, 8. The military soldiers began to count down. The demon hunters looked at the town's exit in despair. They didn't believe in miracles anymore. The demon gods people were smiling. In a few more seconds, they would have 100 million in funds. This was a huge help to their team. 6, 5, 4. Li Mingxi lowered her head and let out a long sigh. It was time to say goodbye to the past. Lin Jun, the boy with the bright smile in her memory, goodbye. 3, 2, 1. Just as the soldiers were about to announce the end of the test, a person suddenly rushed out of the town's entrance. I'm here. I'm back. Lin Jun ran like a wisp of smoke, panting as he ran to the demon hunters. He hurriedly stood in front of them. How was it, Captain? I came out in time, right? Chapter 45. You're still alive? The first person to speak wasn't a member of the demon hunter squad, but Li Mengxi. Lin Jun's sudden appearance made her feel very conflicted. She was about to say goodbye to her past. So why did Lin Jun appear at this time? Lin Jun glanced at Li Mengxi and saw that she was holding hands with Zhou Tai. He was stunned for a moment, but then a smile appeared on his face. Congratulations, Sister Mengxi. You've finally found someone suitable for you. Li Mengxi hurriedly pulled her hand away from Zhou Tai's, which made Zhou Tai's face turn ugly. Li Mengxi's mind was in a mess. She didn't know what she was thinking. At this moment, the few demon hunters reacted and immediately surrounded Lin Jun. Zhao Yang was the first to speak. Lin Jun, why did you come out so late? Are you hurt? Shirley said, It's good that you're out, as long as you're fine. Gao Yan patted Lin Jun's shoulder. The fact that you came out at the last second means that you haven't forgotten your duty. No matter what the result is, just do your best. Yi Tianqing rolled his eyes. What's the point of saying so much? Let the military check the loot, then we'll think of a way to raise the money. After this, I'm afraid that the demon hunters have suffered a great loss. I suggest that we clean up the small monsters around the base city in the future. At least we'll be safe, and we'll have a stable income. Lin Jun was stunned. Raise the money? Raise the money for what? What do you think? Zhou Tai, who was at the side, roared loudly, scaring the others. Zhou Tai's face turned pale. Lin Jun, don't play dumb with me. Don't tell me that you don't know about the 100 million bet between our two squads. Your squad is still 5,200 points away from the target. Can you afford to pay 5,200 points? If you can't, then you'll have to pay. I'll give you 100 million right now. Not a single cent less. I'm still waiting to buy the Star of the Ocean for my baby Mengxi. As he spoke, he pulled Li Mengxi over and hugged her in front of his chest. Li Mengxi struggled twice, but she couldn't resist Zhou Tai's strength. She could only lower her head to avoid looking at Lin Jun. Her long hair covered her face, and her expression couldn't be seen clearly. Lin Jun didn't even look at Li Mengxi. He turned to look at Shirley and the others. Do we have a total of 14,800 points? Sigh. That's right, we were repeatedly disturbed by them in the testing area. We didn't manage to snatch any high-level monsters a few times. To be able to get these points, we did our best. The one who spoke was Zhao Yang. His tone was a little heavy. 100 million yuan was enough to make them choke. Although the few of them pooled their money together and were able to fork out 100 million, their lives would definitely be affected in the future. Moreover, this matter would also be a huge blow to the team's reputation. Hearing Zhao Yang's words, Lin Jun's expression also became serious. 5,200 points. How do you expect me, a level 8 warrior, to come up with that? As he spoke, he began to take out the spoils of war from his pocket. The military soldier in front of him impatiently urged him to hurry up. In his opinion, Lin Jun was only a level 8 warrior. It would be impressive if he could get 1,000 points in Spoils of War. Mo Shun and the others were also watching with cold smiles. They were all waiting to see Lin Jun make a fool of himself. Lin Jun first rummaged through his left pocket and took out a few spoils of war from it. Let me see what your genius has got. Oh, a toad's tongue, this is 1 point. Haha, there's even a coxcomb. Io, quite a few coxcombs. 11, congratulations on getting 12 points. Ha 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 ha. Kong Shan laughed unscrupulously. I still have more here. Lin Jun replied angrily. He took out some more spoils of war from his right pocket. This is a little better. Pig's ears. Haha, I can take them back to go with my wine. I'll let you disappointed people drink to relieve your sorrows. Lin Jun rummaged through his pocket for a while and took out a few mutant pig's ears. Once again, he got 50 points. The few demon hunters closed their eyes. The results were simply too horrible to look at. Don't worry, I still have more here. Lin Jun reached into his pocket again and took out a few more items. There was a cat's ear, 2 pig's ears, 2 toad's tongues, and a cow's horn. He took them out in a mess. The military soldier glanced at them and said, "That's a total of 200 points." At this time, Ruo spoke up. Lin Jun, you can do it. You still have 5,000 points to meet the requirement. Hurry up and check your other pockets. Don't forget anything. Is there a bug in your pants? If you don't have the guts to take it out, I'll take it out for you. How about that? The few demon hunters burst into laughter. They laughed so hard that tears came out of their eyes. Li Mengxi raised her head and looked at Ruo. She felt that Ruo had gone too far, but she didn't dare to support Lin Jun. She could only lower her head and hope that this scene would end soon. Lin Jun looked at Shirley and said, "Leader, if we win the bet, how much money will I get?" Shirley said weakly, "Our team will split it according to the points. If you can take out another 5,000 points, you'll get 26 million. If you can take out an extra 200 points, you'll get an extra million." That's good. I'm in need of money right now. Ruo snorted. Lin Jun, where are you pretending to be? Your pockets are empty. Where else can you put your spoils of war? Hurry up and take out the money. I don't have time to watch you act cute. Lin Jun looked at Ruo and said, "You have a foul mouth. I'll make you pay for it sooner or later. TCH, why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? Don't think you can run away from a few bullets. Mengxi doesn't want to talk to you anymore. Even if you survive, you'll be single until you die. You said that I can dodge bullets. How did you know that?" Lin Jun narrowed his eyes. He had discovered the problem. Ruo looked flustered. Why do you care how I know? I just said it casually. Don't waste time trying to change the subject. Can't you see that the military is waiting for us? Lin Jun didn't continue to argue with this woman. Some things were better left unsaid. There would be time to deal with them in the future. It was better to solve the problem at hand first. Can't you see that I have a big backpack behind me? What do you think this is? As Lin Jun spoke, he took out the big bag behind him and placed it on the ground. What's so smelly? And the smell of blood? Don't tell me it's the salted fish you brought with you? Salted fish? Just think of it as salted fish. Today, I'll show you what a salted fish can do. Lin Jun said as he grabbed the bottom of the backpack and shook it violently. Clatter! A large number of fiery red snake tongues fell out of the backpack, covering the ground in clumps. Everyone present, including the military soldiers, was stunned. Is this the tongue of a snake? Don't tell me it's E-class. I don't think so. Each tongue is more than 1 meter long. Class E snakes are small. They can't have such long tongues. Could it be a D-class one? I don't believe it. How can there be so many Class D monsters in the soldiers' area? Even if there was Lin Jun, how could he kill them? Lin Jun ignored the doubts of the Demon God Squad. He pushed the snake's tongue in front of the soldier. Brother Bing, please count how many points I have. I'm still waiting to collect money. It seems that today is a good day. My income won't be low. At this time, the demon hunters also woke up from the shock. Zhao Yang took the lead and rushed over. He picked up a snake's tongue and looked at it. Then he shouted, Class D mutant beast. There are a lot of Class D mutant beasts. 100 points for each tongue. Lin Jun, I've always said that I'm optimistic about you. You're AF * King Genius. Hearing Zhao Yang's words, the Demon God Squad was stunned. Li Mingxi looked at Lin Jun in disbelief. She looked at Lin Jun, who was standing there and smiling casually. At this moment, she seemed to have never known this young man.